some reason our names aren't shown anymore.
Oh Lord. Oh well. We gonna run with it. We gonna run with it. All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the King and I Life podcast hosted by myself, Soul Touch of the Poet, and my brother.
Son Soul Lex.
Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. As always, you can hit us up on whatever podcast platform that you subscribe to. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Like, subscribe, share. Son Soul Lex, go ahead and take out the rest of them.
Make sure y'all hit us up on that Patreon. Again, hit that like, share, and subscribe. You can reach us at KINGANDEYE369 at gmail.com. Again, that's King and I 369 at gmail.com. And again, if you want to come on the show, we would love to have you on. Whatever subject you want to talk about, let's talk about it, chop it up, get it in.
Yep, because this is where we talk about it. Again, last week we had Sheena LV on with us. Go pick up her book, Keys to Her Abyss. She's dope. Next week we got another dope person coming on. We'll save that for later. But tonight we are going to talk about life after serving, military vets, readjustment to civilian life. This is personal to all four of us to some one shape or another. I myself am a military brat, and I currently have 26 years in between active duty Army, Air National Guard, and Army National Guard. And currently right now I'm on active duty orders helping with the COVID vaccine. And my co-host, Son, so let's go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm just a brat. That's all there is to it. I'm just an Army brat.
Oh, man.
And members of my family are in the military, which I support 100%.
And with us, our esteemed guests, we have Mr. Don Holmes, retired Navy. Go ahead and give him a brief introduction to you for yourself.
Yes, this is Don Holmes, 20-year veteran of the United States Navy. Retired since I retired in 1999, and definitely looking forward to our conversation here about us serving and chopping it up and seeing what we can come out, see what we can learn from. Get out.
Sure.
And we got Sir Anthony, my brother. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
So I am number 2 of the Holmes tribe. Thank you all for having me on once again. 10.5 years active duty Army veteran, 3 tours, 2 15-month tours to Iraq, 1 12-month tour to Afghanistan. Currently medically retired. So I'm very much so looking forward to this conversation. Thank you, gentlemen, once again.
Definitely. That's what's up.
Thanks for coming on.
I've had 1 tour myself to Iraq back in 04, 05, and I swore I would never get deployed again. So far, I've been lucky dodging them bullets.
Literally, right?
Yes, literally.
Yeah.
So many of us have taken the oath to serve the country in one of the 5 U.S. military branches with a journey that may last from a short enlistment or a path to retirement. With just 20 years, one can retire and embark on a second career or choose to stay in until their heart say it's time to hang it up. But the one thing that most don't consider, take seriously, or prepare for is life after the military. So join us as we discuss some of the things that need to be taken into account. So jumping into it, I joined in 1991. I had no earthly idea what I was doing. My mother sent me to Miami, Florida. After walking miles looking for a job and nobody hired me, one day I saw the recruiting station. I said, I'm going to go join the Air Force. And as I was walking up to the Air Force recruiter, the Army guy came out with his little cigar, sits in his hand. He's like, where you going? I said, I'm going to join the Air Force. He's like, nah, come over here. And that's what started my life in the Army.
I say whore. I say whore. My situation was definitely a little bit different. I volunteered for hell.
Uh-huh.
I volunteered for hell. So I went in 2005.
Mhm.
So right after 9/11, and us really kind of getting a foot on the ground in Iraq. It was really a different time frame coming from a military background, with my parents and such. Most especially my father. It was just like, hey, look, you know what? This is it, man. I'm gung ho. I got energy. I got time. Why not? Let's go. Let's go do something. And there was, some other psychological things I was dealing with that I wanted to, really kind of prove myself and go to that next level, which I feel like, a lot of African Americans, have that same type of plight. You know what I mean? When you're young, you're trying to find something to do with yourself that's going to be beneficial. I don't know if it's still on. I can't see everybody.
Yeah, you good. You good.
Okay, my apologies. But that was my thing, man. So when I went in, it was between the Marine Corps, which I wanted to go to first.
Mhm.
Everybody on my mother's side of the family was confused that I went into the Army because I was full blown, full metal jacket. Like, you couldn't tell me I wasn't Johnny Sergeant Hartman, to the absolute core, man. I have every single line down pat still to this day.
Wow.
But at that time, even they told me, they said, "Look, you got too many tattoos. They're showing in your dress blues. It's not going to
Mhm.
work." But the Army was like, "Hey, come on in,
Hey.
come on, buddy. Oh, and you have all TC. Okay, yeah, come on, buddy, let's go." So, yeah, man, yeah, it was definitely different. Like I said, I knocked on the door for it. Like, hey, come on in.
Mm.
Yeah, you know what? I uh, so you made a point. I just want to make sure if there's anyone listening to make a point that the reality of military service is a little different from when I joined.
Mhm.
Uh, I joined back in 1979, and at that time, you used to have E5s and E4s that were in there over 20 some years. And I don't know the exact time, but I can only speak to the Navy. So that was a time when you could be an E4 and do 20 years, or
Yeah.
you could be an E5 and do 20 years. But then they came out with their rank structure and said that, hey, if you don't make at least E5, you can't stay to 20.
Mhm.
You got to get out of here at like 15, 14, or whatever. And basically, uh, they put us put us similar, not all the way, but similar on a level with the officer ranks. Because
Mhm.
I don't know if people knew this or not. Because if you don't make certain rankings in a certain period of time, they're gonna request that you.
Get on up out of here. Appreciate you coming through, but you got to
Yeah.
go home, but you got to get out of here.
Yeah, well, I think the term, somebody don't know. I think the term is high year tenure. You start getting high year
Mhm.
tenure and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going off my elderly mind, but I'm going to say that I was an E6 and I retired at 20. And I
Mhm.
think I think in the before the Navy, you still, if you made E5, the rank of E5, you can retire at 20. But that was it. I couldn't do any more. I couldn't do anything past 20 because at the time those were the rules. But like I said, when I first came in, I'll never forget. I'll never ever forget a short uh, cook that I met on the ship. That short cook, he couldn't be no more than about 5'2", 5'3", and he was only like an E4, and he had hash marks. And each hash mark is 4 years, and it went
Right.
all the way up and down his arm. And he had stayed in and stayed in, and when I came in, that was easily, you seen people that was doing 30,
Mhm.
35 years and all that kind of stuff, and they cut all that out and said, yeah, if you don't make at least E5 or E6 at 20, that's the furthest you can go in retirement. And right now, the people that and I think I'm going off the top of my head, but if you make up to E8, the longest you can do is maybe 24 years, 26. Because I've talked to some of my fellow servicemen, and oh yeah, I couldn't make E9, so
Mhm.
they told me I had to get out at 20, 26. So if you make E9, you can do 30. and 30, maybe beyond, and all that kind of stuff. But I just thought it was important that people let people know that nowadays things are a little different than the way it used to be in the past. Uh, the service is a little bit more selective. They always come across like they need people, and they certainly do, but they're trying to be a little bit more selective about the quality of people they used to
Mm-hmm.
get. And but it still exists that you run into people that's in there that they were given choices that either you go to jail or you do
Yeah.
understand.
And that's a reality. That's a reality of it. But I don't think it's necessarily like it was back in your day, Mr. Don, where it's a definite decision from a judge, a mandate from a judge. You see what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
think I think it's more systematic now, because if you look at the society that we live in, most of our people that are living in America, young people have one of two options. You're either going to do something in athletics if you want to make it. Well, really three. Do something in athletics, become a rapper or singer or something like that, right? Entertain, or you're going to go into the military. College has even become something that's been taken off of the books.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, people, are starting to look at it and they're like, hey, if I'm going to go to college, let me go to the military and have the military pay for me to go to college. But I think there's a lot of miscommunication. Even when I first came in, again in 2005, there was a lot of miscommunication in the way that information and propaganda was put out of what you can do in the military, how free you were going to be in the military, right? So you can go see the world, but they don't tell you you're going to fight in most of the places you're in. You can, get a college education, but not necessarily at the school you want to go to, and not necessarily for the degree you want to. But if you can find something that's online, you'll fit in there. So it's a lot, man. I think that young people now, even since I got out in 2015. I talk to young troops now on live just about every day, and it's a completely different standard. AR 670-1 has changed completely to where earrings are now mandated. I saw a soldier
Yeah.
the other day, with his sleeves rolled up and his multicams, and that's a no go for us. In my generation, in my time,
Mm-hmm.
that was a no go for us. You couldn't roll up your sleeves. You just had to suffer through it. And anybody that's ever worn BDUs, chocolate chips, or ACUs already knows. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? That's an uncomfortable uniform. So it's a difference. Time changes, I feel like the military, and I can only speak for the Army because I was, I'm only been an active duty Army vet, but I feel like as time goes by, we have taken more to society versus society being influenced by the military.
So I want to speak to both of y'all points, because Don was talking about being a E4 in for 20 years and stuff like that. Um, I can definitely attest to that because um, when I came in the National Guard in 97, I knew E4s who was like 50, 60 years old, and they were just hanging around. Um, After time, though, after things started changing, it was like, no, if you're not progressing,
Mhm.
you got to get out. And you start seeing the changes. And to what you were speaking to, Sir Anthony, yeah, it's a lot of mandates, a lot of reasons why people come in. There's also that stigma out there. Yeah, you can travel the world and this, that, and the other, and you can go to school and this, that, and the other, but you got to do this, you got to do that. Um, One of the things that a lot of people don't take into consideration or are oblivious to is that you have to go in informed. You
Mhm.
have to go in informed.
Yep.
Um, don't listen to those people who say it ain't no place for a black man, because there's black people in the military who've excelled to heights that are unreachable for a lot of people. But if you don't go in informed, you're going to make a lot of bad decisions. You're going to be led the wrong way. You're not going to know. You're going to be green. You're not going to like it. You're going to go in for 2, 3, 4 years and be like, you know what, I can't take this. I'm getting out. So y'all definitely make some good points on that. So but the big thing is definitely go in informed so that you'll have that knowledge, at least a clue as to what to do. And definitely, Don, before I get off my soapbox, yes, when you came in, it was different. When I came in, it was different. Sir Anthony, when you came in, it was different. You mentioned 670-1. Yes, that I've seen so many changes to that it'll make your head spin.
Yep.
Yes, now they can have
Streaks in their hair.
streaks in their hair and
But
the earrings
yeah,
and the tattoos all the way. It
yep,
man,
yep. It's completely different standard.
Yeah, but
Come.
but in the Navy, that was a part of the culture. Tattoos. You was the opposite. Old
Yeah.
school.
And,
Earrings, that was a part of the tradition.
yeah,
Earrings earrings in the ear. I mean, you couldn't wear it in uniform, but in certain uniform. But the tattoo thing, I'll never forget. Big time E7, E9 used to walk around in uniform with a big old spider on his hand.
Mhm.
A tattoo of a spider on his hand. That was a part of the tradition. And
Right.
I think you make some very good valid points about the difference in the time change, how time has evolved. But you got to remember what the military used to be and what it is now, because it used to be a place where people went to protect the country, serve the country, but basically, just have a job and go do something else. But then, like, they decided we're going to change that. We need better quality individuals. That was the whole point.
Oh yeah.
And that's why things change, and that's why you start seeing advertisements that Anthony talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Advertising, well, just like with all advertising, they're gonna hit the high points. They ain't gonna never tell you the whole story. They're gonna tell you what they needed to draw you in there. But then they wanted better quality of people because someone got the idea that it's not about numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about numbers. It's the quality of each individual. We need people that to think more. We need more. And you've been in the military, but they just drill it to your head. No matter which branch you are in, the story is the same about the need and the thirst for leaders.
Definitely.
Someone to take charge, someone to think on their feet. I mean, how many classes do you go while you in there? Leadership class.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter which branch. They're always talking about leaders. They put it into your head, making decisions. We need someone to lead. We need someone to take charge. We need someone to be able to think on their feet. We need someone to be able to assess the situation and take command.
Mm-hmm. Right. So with all of that being said, in y'all opinions, I have my opinion. What do you think is better, a short enlistment or a career, making it a career?
Oh,
Anthony, go first. Go ahead.
All right.
Hey, this gonna be a good one. This gonna be a good one.
So, in my honest opinion, a shorter enlistment, if we are going to encourage going into the military, period, a shorter enlistment to me is always going to be preferred. When I talk to young black men and women these days, I always tell them, if you're going to go in with a plan and make it a short plan. The reason being, I don't believe in staying in anything longer than you're necessarily needed, right? So go in, get what you need to get out of the situation, and continue on. Because what happens oftentimes, and I've seen it being on the active duty side, I didn't see it so much through the reserves or National Guard, but I know their time is a lot longer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on the active duty side, I've seen personnel stay in because they get responsibilities, right? So you incur a family, you get cars, or you start buying, you buy a house or whatever else at this duty station, and then they PCS you and send you somewhere else. And now you've got to stay in to keep up with this mortgage or to keep up with this family and so on and so forth. So for me, a going in with a plan of making it a short a short time that you're going to be in, and when I say short, I mean 4 years and be done. Honestly, as we both know, being out of the military, according to the VA, all you have to do is finish your first term enlistment. Right, first term enlistment, honorable discharge, and you're qualified for all of your VA benefits for the rest of your life. I do not, as a black male here in America, I do not see a purpose for us to go and fight their wars and be in their battles. And I'm saying this as a two-time combat veteran, 3-time veteran of foreign wars. There's no reason for us to fight their wars and spend 20 years doing it. That's the only thing I'm gonna say.
Don?
Well said.
I'm going to agree with Anthony to a certain extent, but I'm going to part ways and say that it depends, because I can think of my background. I came from a household where my mother was a registered nurse, and she had a good job. I wouldn't consider myself poor. I came from probably a lower middle class family, and well, my mother taught me uh, the essence of learning. My mother wanted me to go to college. She didn't want me to join the military, and I broke her heart. I still remember her standing on the front porch crying like a baby when I told her I had went on and joined the Navy, because she had it in her heart for me to go to college and get my degree like she did. She went and got her degree in nursing, and she felt like that was a perfect opportunity, because as we're all 4 black men sitting here, as we have heard many times, that education is the equalizer. Knowledge is power, and she was of the belief that college was a necessity for me to improve my life, and I agree with that to a certain point. I still to this day still agree to it. I just didn't get it. I've been to college for a number of times, but it's all about what teaching the vision. The reason why I bring that point up, the point is to get to this. You getting people coming from nothing, no hope, no nothing. That wasn't me, but I've talked to people that came from the inner city, that came from nothing, I mean, white guys that came from the country where there was no realistic outlook on life. And the military, they sucked it up like Kool-Aid. They had structure, they had something to do, and they looked forward to it. And they got in there and they excelled, because, and the point is, whether you short term, long term, or whatever you feel like you're, but that's all about the person in their mind of where they fit in the reality of where they think they are in the world. And it's all about having a future. It's all about what you think you have a future. Do you have the frame of mind to be thinking forward and looking forward? And what the military, because you can look at time and time and time again of successful people that have a military background. They had structure. They always had it in them, but that the military and the way of life and that structure pulled it out of them. They did their 4 years or 3 years or whatever and got out and went on to bigger and better things. And then you have some people, they did a career. They stayed in, they did what they had to do, and they got out and moved on to a whole other career. But the thing that the glue was that the structure, the rules, that environment led them to be more. Because I've seen it time and time again where people that if they had not came to the military, they just would have been another number, another somebody that was thinking they was a nobody. But then they get in the military thinking that, hey, now I'm somebody and I could be anybody.
True.
And that's the whole point when it comes to long-term career versus short-term. I would say it depends on the person, what you have to look forward to, and your background, where you're coming from. You come from zero, and you go in the military. All of a sudden, you're infinite. But then, like, if you didn't go in the military, that was probably a number that you felt like you could only get to.
So yeah, let me jump in there. Oh, go ahead.
I've talked to several younger people, that ask me my opinion of the military. Um, I tell them, if you're going to go in, like Anthony was saying, make sure you go in with a plan, with a, your own personal agenda. I think the military can be very beneficial to any individual who, again, go in, get what you need out of it, and then get out. But if you feel you want to stay in, there's nothing wrong with that either. But again, you got to make sure that uh, you're using the military as much as the military is using you,
So,
i.e., make sure you get as many skills as you possibly can while you are in there. Make
mhm.
sure you take advantage of every educational course you can. I mean, the possibilities as far as the benefits, they're dang near endless. So again, when I talk to young people, I tell them go in, but make sure you have an agenda, a personal agenda that fits you best.
So I agree with everybody's points, but I also have slightly separate opinion. Um, I do agree to an extent a short term. I personally would recommend anyone who is not ready for college, um, doesn't have a plan, so to speak, without for their life, and they're stuck, or whatever the case may be. I would definitely recommend at least one term. Um, and your one term is typically 6 years. You do four active, and you got to do the next two, either
Yeah.
guard, reserve, or inactive. Whatever the case may be. So I encourage those that one short term, because while you're in there, you can take classes. You can take college classes. You could take military classes, and all kind of other things. Um, then after those 4 years, you have college money now,
Hmm.
right? And then if you join the National Guard or the Reserve, they have educational benefits. So if you wasn't ready to go to college right after high school, or you was just chilling 2, 3 years after high school, and you'd be like, all right, I'm gonna do this and then go to college. Okay, boom, you got your plan right there. You got all the benefits. Um, Now, if you get in there and you feeling like, what, this is me. I'm feeling this. I might want to make a career out of it. I wouldn't not say use the system as is using you. I would say go in there as if this is your world. This is your direction. You make all the right moves, all the right decisions that you need to make. Um, that way you prepare yourself for life and beyond. And as Anthony was saying, people go in there, they get you got a guaranteed paycheck.
Hmm.
Whether you sick or not, your check is hitting the bank the 1st and the 15th without a problem.
Unless the
You
government shuts down.
Unless the government shuts down, which is a rare case.
Which is,
But
but it's happened.
yes, but
Twice
on
in
average,
Virginia.
but on
Yeah.
average,
Yeah.
you got people who don't have the mind space to go in there and be like, all right, I must do X, Y, and Z, blah blah blah. I was one of those people. Getting credit cards, got a car, got this, got that, blah blah blah. I had no clue. So I definitely agree with you. You go in there, you get all the responsibilities, and you have to stay there because you're stuck in that lifestyle. But go in there, be smart. You do your one term. If that's it for you, do that one term, get out. If you feel in 10 years, do 10 years, get out. But as you're in there, make sure that you're setting yourself up for success, as Son So Lex was saying. Um, Another thing before I let Anthony jump back in is for the life of me, if you decide to go to the military, nothing against the National Guard and Reserve, but if you take 8, 12, 16 weeks out of your life to go to basic training in AIT, please go active duty, because when you go to that basic training and AIT and whatever the case may be, you're going to be on a high. You're going to be up here. And then when you go to your National Guard or Reserve unit, You're gonna be. It's like coming off a real high. You're gonna be high strung. You're gonna be, focused and all this, that, and other. Then you have to get back used to this slow lifestyle of 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, or whatever the case may be. And you might be disgruntled, and you may hate the military, and you may be pissed that you joined. And now you have a 6 year enlistment that you go 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, or whatever the case may be. And I give the floor back to you.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that, brother. The one thing I will say, I will add to that. So you can't control the military,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that's where my biggest issue with us going in and staying in for a long extended period of time is that you can't control it. So if you get an ATAR's recommendation that comes down and says you got to go to this school, or you've got to go to, you've got to go to this duty station, that's it. That's it. I went to basic training during my junior year of high school through the delayed entry program.
Okay.
Right. So I was exactly on that high that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I went to basic training, right? Came back from basic training, and then went back to high school dealing with high schoolers,
Whew.
right? So the mentality difference was completely different. My mentality is I'm ready to kill and I'm ready to put it on the line. And your mentality is you're still trying to get on the football field. You're still trying to, and there's nothing wrong with that. We were just on two different levels. Mm-hmm. So me personally,
Right.
I feel like the government should stop that program.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think they should stop that program altogether. Because what I feel like is it sets you up, right? And I've not only heard this, but I've seen this from my fellow battle buddies whom I was in basic training with, and then met later on in life through AIT, not AIT, but through a deployment or a PCS or whatever else, and we run across each other. The Army is small. So when you run into them again, and it's like, bro, after I came back from my reserve unit, I went straight active immediately. My first duty station was Fort Drum, New York, from Jacksonville, Florida. See what I'm saying? So in 6 months into being in Fort Drum, I was deployed for the first time. Mm-hmm. I was completely unprepared for the civilian portion of me transitioning from going basic training and learning that everything is on the line. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You learn to live without certain things. You learn that, things don't matter the way they used to when you were in high school. I wasn't worried about Jordans when I got back. I was worried about whether or not my boots were shined. That's what mattered to me. You see what I'm saying? There was a difference in my appearance and the way that I carried myself. So when I went back to high school, I had to reassociate and reacclimate to being a teenager that is now burdened with the responsibility of carrying the U.S. on his back. You see what I'm saying? For not to make it sound, over exaggerated, but that's truly what we do as soldiers, sailors, and airmen and Marines. You see what I'm saying? That's what we do. So when people say to me, "Thank you for your service," do you really know what all was on the line? You know what I mean? And that's what I feel like a lot of teenagers that join the program are not prepared for. To bring it back home to what we're talking about as far as acclimating into civilian sector, when you leave the Army, they take you through. You go through your, I forgot what it's called now, but your basically your training to get ready to become a civilian, right? So you'll go through a couple of briefings, and they'll tell you how the VA works briefly. That's why it's called a briefing, right? So they'll tell you how the VA works briefly. They'll tell you, what you qualify for briefly. They'll describe to you all the places you need to clear, right? So you go through and you clear all of those things. But at no point I have found, and I've been out again since 2015, at no point do they actually have a point where they say, this is our time to reintegrate you into what society has now become. Because most especially when you're active duty, we live in a different world. As Mr. Don may also be able to attest to, we live in a different world when you're on active duty. When this is what you do on a daily basis, military code, whatever the regulation is, that's it. That's it. And you stay out of the civilian police's way just so you don't get in trouble in the military. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So it's it's a difference. I think there definitely needs to be a program set up to be able to acclimate soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, National Guard, everyone that has been in any form of military. I don't care if you were in the what's that thing called? The Salvation Army. If you were in the Salvation Army, I feel like you should get it too.
we actually going to touch on some of them things that you just mentioned as far as separating from the military, because that is definitely important.
Can I make a point to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
So I would just add to that, and listening to Anthony talk about that, and him being a 10-year veteran and me being a 20-year veteran, and it was just something that I came up with myself personally that got me through those 20 years. And like I said, I'll never forget talking to someone when I first came in. He said, there's 3 type of people in the military. He said, those are ones that don't get it. They're not going to stay around. They're going to do their time. They're going to get out.
Mm-hmm.
He said, then you got those people that they get it. They're going to drink it up. They're going to suck up every single thing that the military gives them. And they just going to be in to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third person, you got filters. And that's the category I always filter them as. So the filters were people that's going to take what they wanted and they need it, and they're going to filter out all the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And he said those people, they might stay in, they might get out because they filter, depending on what they filters.
Right.
And that was the whole point. And I was always a filter because I would talk to people, and you would run into those gung-ho, do it by the book, military, straight up. They drank the military Kool-Aid, they drank the government Kool-Aid, they were spot on. Everything had to be, you had to dot the I's. They were dot the I's, cross the T's type people. But I always felt like, since my brother, Frank Holmes, I had to deal with him being in the Marines, and he talked about the military all the time, and I had him in my ear, always impressing upon me the reality of the situation about the military and about the way they do things. So I always felt that I was a filter, and I kept what I liked, and to this day, I use some of those military practices in my life. But all the other stuff that I felt like that really didn't matter, I filtered out and didn't take. And what I told people, people that work for me and people that work for me and young people that came in after me that was getting, while I was getting out, I told them just like this. I said, this is a place where you don't stay. You're going to come back to reality. I said, this is like a laboratory because this is not the reality of life in here. I said, you think about some of the stuff a person is able to walk into a room and say to you and have you do, crazy stuff like walk into a room like, hey man, go get a toothbrush and clean the corner of that crack out. And you think about it, I'm using that as an example, but it wasn't an order. If I told you that crack over there against the wall is dirty, and you need to take this toothbrush I got in my hand and go there and clean it out, that's not an illegal or unlawful order. But you might question, the validity of why I'm doing it, but that's not the point. Mm-hmm. You're in an environment where someone outranks you. They walk in, they're over you, and they give you an order. It ain't an order to kill nobody. Ain't an order to steal from nobody. Ain't an order to lie to anybody. It's just an order of a simple job that anybody could possibly do. But here's someone telling you, you finna do it. You need to do it right now. And that's the reality. I use that as an example. That's how the military is different from the civilian world, because in the civilian world, you always have an option of someone walking up to you and telling you something that you might not feel is necessary or whatever. You can throw the flag up and say, well, I quit, or I'm done. I'm out of here. But, and you'll be able to walk off the job, quit right there and stay and go. But as we know in the military, you're on a contract. Someone gave you a lawful order. It was a meaningless order, but you'll never know the reality of it, why he was doing that, but it was a legal order. And I use it as an example to show that's the big difference of the military. And I always felt you had to have the mindset to understand that when you left the military or when you was off work, you went and hang around real people, that you had friends that were not in the military, so they can keep you in touch with reality. That you didn't just hang around military people all the time, because that's what I tried to do when I went overseas and I went to other places. Me and my friends, we always wanted to go find somebody that we didn't know that wasn't in the military, so we could deal with reality of when we went overseas, we went down the Caribbean. We always want to go talk to the locals and find out what was life really about. We wanted a sense of reality, because we knew that going back to what we were doing was not a sense of reality. We had our own reality, but it wasn't
Right.
anything in the real world. So speaking to that point about going from the military and then back to the reality of the situation or something different, yeah, I think would be a good idea. But the military will tell you right now they do have programs, and they do have people that they solicit to and go there. I don't know if it's true or not, but I know how the military works. They'll tell you that, yeah, we got this program, but do they work? Do they manage? Because excuse me, because the bottom line is we still have people that come out that are not adjusting like they should. We still have people out that really needs some care to make that adjustment. They need good intensive care. And I know I've seen both sides of it. Military say, well, who is that person? Call this person or talk to this person or whatever. This person should have went and talked to this person. But the reality is, that's people slipping through the cracks. So
Sounds
yeah,
like you got
it's a very good
anything
point.
else to throw on that before I jump in on it?
No, I'm good on that one.
Okay. At the end of the day, you need to go in with some common sense and a little bit of knowledge, because both of the points that y'all making are very valid. Um, as far as people falling through the cracks, or just not having a good time in the military period. There are certain type of people, and a lot of people, they either bring their street life into it, or they bring their out of touch life into it. But if you go in well balanced, and you don't walk around like you're easily intimidated and stuff like that, some of that stuff, and I will say a good majority of it, is avoidable. um of course there are situations where it's not, but and since I've been in, I've seen so many changes to where a lot of that stuff is it's a minority issue. um but at the end of the day, if you don't invest in yourself, whether you're a civilian or not, especially in the military, if you do not invest in yourself and you allow other people to dictate your time in the military, it's not going to be productive for you. It's not going to be happy for you. So you have to find your place in there, and surround yourself with normal people, as Don was saying. Um, Definitely, you know, make it a point to learn all that you can, because honestly, I look at the military as a big trade school. Um, you can go in there to be a nurse, you can go in there to be a cook, you can go in there to be a mechanic, electrician, IT. It's so many trades that you can get in the military, that you can get 4 years, get out, go live your life. Um, And if you stay in, back to the point of short term versus a career, if you stay in 20 years, hey, you can retire, get a retirement check, maybe get disability, and start a whole nother career. And the possibilities are endless on that one. So, do any of y'all have anything else on that point before we move on to the next one?
I will add one thing, and just to piggyback on what you said, definitely you want to deal with the reality of what you're facing after you get out of the military. I mean, you know, if you have a plan, but but back to the point Anthony made, you know, I was one of those people that went in there, and basically, I just got away from. My plan was just getting away from home,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I got in there, I got the car, and I had the family, and then I had the family, and I had all this stuff going on, and yeah, I ended up, and then next thing you know, I made rank real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like 4 years, I was an E5.
Whew.
Yeah,
Jeez.
in 4 years, I was an E5.
Mm.
I was getting E5 pay, and I was single. I didn't have anybody. I had a nice, shiny new car, and then enlistment came up, and then when I was in for the job I was doing, they gave me a bonus. If I
Mm.
re-enlisted, they gave me an extra $2,500.
Whew.
Yeah, they gave me a bonus to re-enlist, and then when I came up for re-enlistment again, they gave me another bonus. They gave me a $5,000 bonus.
Mm.
So hey, I had incentives. I said, what am I doing? I was gonna say, hey, I got a bonus. And these were things were going on because that was the Navy. Wasn't necessary for the Army, but that was
Right.
the Navy.
Right.
Navy is a global force. We're around the world. I could have went anywhere in the world. I went anywhere close to the world. I was in the Navy. I went in the
Mhm.
Army. I was in the Navy. I sailed on ships. I wasn't a ground. I wasn't a ground pounder. I wasn't
Mm.
fighting nobody with no guns. It was all about jobs. I could have been a photographer. You could be a photographer. You could be
Yeah.
a journalist. You could be a movie maker. You could be a filmmaker. You could have done all this stuff in the Navy. They gave you rates. You even could have been in the band.
I was about to say that. I was just about
Yeah.
to say that.
Wow.
Yeah, you could be anything. You could have been. I was bowling and I met a guy that said, "Oh yeah, I did 20 years." And I said, "What was your?" "Oh, I was a musician." Yeah, they got
And
a
you'd be
rate.
like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
I thought you went to join the military. He's like, I sure
Yeah.
did.
But you
Yeah,
know what?
I said, what did you do? He said, well, I was stationed in D.C. most of the time. I played for the president.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You know,
That's
so-
just like in Jacket though. Y'all remember the movie Poker, the Journal, and Gunny Sergeant Hartman's like, what do you think, you Mickey Spillane or something? You're a killer. You're supposed to be a killer. You're right. What are you talking about? You're a killer.
I know that.
You know?
So I made that to make this. I said that to make this point was that while you in there, like my brother Son X said, you know, it's all about your mindset and mind space to want to do something with yourself and be something with yourself. It's a perfect opportunity, but to make that a whole, it's all about opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Me being 60 years old, and I was talking about this at work the other day, being a 60s baby, coming up through the strife of racial tensions and stuff like that, because I went in the military and black people weren't that prevalent in the military back in 1979. We were just coming in, so you figure, you know, so I always walked into the room, I was probably the only black person there. I'll never forget bunking with a guy when I was in trade school or rate school, whatever they was teaching my trade, and a guy from California. Now, he was from Northern California. He was talking about, man, you're the first black guy I ever seen in person.
Oh
Man, guy from
man.
Waycross, Georgia, like that, man.
So he was like, hey, what do y'all eat?
Wow. Yeah.
he was just so intrigued with me being a black man. You're the first person I ever seen in person. I seen y'all on TV, but you're the first person I ever been in person.
You should have known you were Wesley Snipes, man.
Oh man.
And he was from Northern California, supposed to be a liberal state, you know, and all this kind of stuff. He's from Northern California, and he was sitting there explaining to me how he was, and I'm like, man, I'm a human being.
Right.
I'm a human being, and I pretty much got the same. I bleed red just like you do, and you know, the only thing is if you slap me, you can't see me turn red. But the bottom line was that those were the kind of environment that you were in. Those are the kind of people that you were dealing with. That the military were taking and molding into their leaders for the next generation. So that's why I say, as a person, a black man coming through the generations that I've come through, it's all about opportunity. Because I understand there were a lot of people that looked like us that did not get the opportunity. It's all
Right.
about the opportunity,
Yeah. True.
getting the opportunity and taking advantage of where you stay in or where you stay out. And my brother Son X made that point up, made the point of understanding that there are a lot of people that's making it in the military because hey, that's them. They get in there and they find out they probably didn't have any idea, but then they get in that they're good at it. They're good
Hmm.
at leading men. They're good at motivating people to getting the job done. And basically, at the end of the day, it's all about getting the job done
Yeah.
because someone above you has given you a task and you do it to the best of your ability and you manage people and on and on and on and on. So it's all about taking advantage of opportunity. Being a black man in America, and me and my son, we have our conversations about this and understanding that we're still human beings, and most of the time we separate or segregate ourselves by saying, yeah, I'm a black man, I'm a this man, but most people they go, I'm a human being and I'm a person and I'm about this and I'm about that from a personal standpoint,
Hmm.
and that when it comes to the military, it's supposed to be colorblind, and you would like to think that it's colorblind, but the reality is it's just a mirror of a regular society.
Yeah.
Because even though you in this laboratory or whatever, you see things that go down that are not quite right, but there are ways you have to find out and learn how to maneuver around. So just making that point that it's all about opportunities, and yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
glad I had the opportunity to get my family through and take care of my family, get my son grown and out of the house. He had the opportunity to go to college. He didn't want to go to college, but hey, I felt like hey, he had the opportunity, and that's what it was all about: giving you yourselves and your loved ones opportunity. Because if you no one could never say he didn't have the opportunity, but he has his own choices. And just
Hmm.
like each one of us sitting here on this podcast, we've made some choices, we've made some decisions that have brought us to this point right now. That we're able to get on a podcast and talk to each other on a computer. Because hey, it took some doing. We had to get some decisions to get here right now. Amen.
Right.
I'm done.
And before we move on to the next talking point, at the end of the day, whether you go in for 4 years or make a career out of it, you're gonna go in there and you're gonna come out with something. Um, but the biggest thing, come out with your dignity, come out with your self-respect, come out with more knowledge and all of that stuff. And heck, as time progressed, everything that you do in the military can be turned into a college credit. So the more that you do, the more that you assert yourself, the more productive you're going to be and the more marketable you're going to be. So, hey, if you do 4 years, 5, 6, 10, whatever, fine. If you do career, whatever. And one more thing before we move on, because Anthony was like, you have no choice. Let me tell you a quick story. Um, I was stationed in Fort Hood, Texas, and I hated it for whatever reason. I just hated it because
Right,
one, it was a rapid deployment post. Two, we always going to California for NTC, and I hated it. And back then we had this thing called a stateside swap where you can find somebody. We had this little magazine. You could
Yep.
find somebody who was in a different state or whatever the case may be, and as long as they had the same rank, you can trade places with them. My retarded ass did a stateside swap to Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Fort Lost.
Boy. But I
Oh,
say that to say this. I get there and I'm there for like a month or two. And I gotta go to the PCS office. I forgot what it was called. But lady sat me down. She was like, "You got orders to go to Korea." I said, "Huh?" I said, "I don't want to go over there." She's like, "You don't want to go?" I was like, "No, I don't want to go." She pulled out this paper. She said, "Here's the first term of statement. You can sign this paper and you don't have to go. And it's a one-time thing. But if it come up again, you gotta go." I signed that paper so goddamn fast. But that was the biggest goddamn mistake of my life. I should have took my ass to Korea.
I did 2 years in South Korea. Trust me. Should have went to Korea, man. I don't know where you ended up from there, but you should have went to Korea.
Yeah. I heard too many. I heard so many horror stories, man. So I just like, I don't want to go. But then in hindsight, I was like, I should have took my ass over there.
Yeah, man. It's definitely an experience, man. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, man. Like, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Talk about partying. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. We can come back on that on the military fun life later. So we're gonna move on to the next topic, and it's military benefits after serving, and we kind of brought this up, pre-separation counseling, and the question about that is it thorough enough? And we probably gonna be on this for a minute, but let's go for it. What do y'all think?
Yeah, you better let me jump in first on that.
Wait, and we're gonna speak on this from your experience and your time when it came for you to have pre-separation counseling.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I felt like, in all reality, so I got out in 1999.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately for me, I had 100 days of leave.
Whew.
So
damn, that's some good time. That's some good time.
I had 100 days of leave. So my anniversary date was like May 3rd. And I actually walked out of there for the last time in a Navy uniform in February.
Big
I officially got out May 3rd. So I got paid military pay from like February all the way to May.
Mm-hmm.
Where can you do that at?
Exactly.
So the military, the Navy, I don't know about the Army, we have what they call TAP class, which is temporary assistance, whatever. What we call it TAP. The TAP stands for something, but I can't remember what it was. But anyway, basically it was a 2-day class where you went in, and they told you about your benefits, they told you about employment, and they actually and then the second day, the class was on the information, and they gave you this nice book that you could read, and then the second day they actually brought in employers, and they they had desks, and then basically it was a job fair. So the second day of TAP class was a job fair, and they would give a presentation, and each employee would give a presentation, and then you take the card, you take a flyer or whatever, and basically, if you were smart, and I did, I went there with my resume about what I've done while I was in the military, and went there and passed it out or whatever. But that was it. So that was a part of the progress, and even before then, when I actually left my job, they had me go and talk to certain people to try to condition me back to civilian life. They asked me questions about what was my plans, what I was going to do, all this kind of stuff. That being said, so I had a good experience, but the reality was I had all that time, and I knew that the first job I took, it was going to be all the money I made from that job was going to go straight in my pocket, because I was still getting paid my military pay all the way up until May. So I took the first job. The first job I got was for $6.50. And $6.50. So I'm just basically telling you my story of what happened to me. I had a wife. I had a house note. I had 2 cars, 1 car, 2 cars, can't remember, and I had 2 kids. And of course, I had my son, so I had like 3 kids, but I had 2 stepkids. But I had my son, so I had basically 3 kids and everything. So I knew I had to get with it, but I knew I was going. I had told myself I was going to take the first job that I got. So it was a temporary job, being a pipe fitter helper, and basically I worked on construction sites cutting pipe. And I worked there for like maybe 2 months, and I knew I had to get with it, and but my point being, that was the assistance I got, that was the chance I got, because I was set up pretty, because I didn't take my leave. I knew I was getting short, So I didn't take a whole lot of leave. I didn't take a whole lot of time off. I was staying where I'm staying now here in Jacksonville, and I was set up that way. So of course I'm going to have a better opinion about my transition from military life to back to civilian life, because that was a nice switch over. I had a lot of time. I actually took the first 2 weeks and I did absolutely positively nothing for 2 weeks. Nothing. But then after 2 weeks, the worker in me got up. Okay, it's time to get busy, and I got busy. But eventually, make a long story short, I did it. I took the job for $6.50, and that was some hard work. I went on construction sites and I cut pipe, and basically I put in pipes for fire protection. The sprinkler system that you walk in the building, you'll see little sprinklers. I put in the sprinkler. Well, I helped him put in the sprinkler. And basically, after like 2.5 months, I go, hey man, I'm gonna need a raise after that. And they're like, well, we don't give a raise to that. You got to work here 6 months. So I went back, dusted up my resume and dusted up my resume and called everybody that I had for some of the paperwork I got, and I actually got somebody to call me and found me another job at Johnson & Johnson, where I'm working at today. I'll never forget. He said, Doug, this is the name of the place was Orion. We're headhunters. So he said, I got some good news and I got some bad news. But he didn't know all he had was good news. But he thought all he had was good news. The point was that I got the good. He said, you want the good news first, or you want the bad news first? I said, go ahead on give me the good. Go ahead on give me the bad news first. The bad news is that it's for $13.75 and it's at night. I said, man, how is that bad news? I'm making $6.50. I'm making $6.50 right now. But I still had my military pay in the back.
Right.
But, you know what I'm saying? But I was getting close now, because that was 2 months. So I was getting close to not being able. But I think I might have like a 2-week turnover where I got the job at Johnson & Johnson making $13.75, and my retirement pay had started kicking in from the military shortly thereafter. So that was a brief, but I had money saved, so I had like a little cushion. So I had a nice little switch over from military to civilian life. I had a nice little switch over there, and I was able to make that transition. And I'm not sure everybody gets that opportunity to get that many days to get paid, to go job searching. But I was just so glad, and I was just so appreciative to God that He put me in that position, because that was hard work, man. It was that $6.50 an hour. It brought me back to reality of the military, from the military, because I worked 8 hours, and man, I had to tow pipes up steps, and I had to sit there on the machine and cut it. I'll come back, and I had the little sweat where it cakes up on your arm. Dry sweat cakes up on your arm.
Oh man.
But I was a hard worker, because I come from Alabama in Mobile, and at the age of 15, I went over there with my brother Clay, and he came down from where he stayed, and we went over to Baldwin County and pulled corn for 8 hours a day out there in the hot sun, just because. And I wasn't but 15 years old. I was out there with my big brother. We working just to make money. So I knew from that standpoint that I worked hard. I worked hard not because I had to. I worked hard because I wanted to. And coming from a wanted to standpoint of working hard, I knew there was nothing I could ever face that could be harder than what I had already done. So it was just a reality check that I got that job and worked it, and then lo and behold, I got a better job, but I didn't have to work so hard. But don't you know I was a highly motivated individual when I got that job?
I bet.
So yeah, go ahead.
So, Sir Anthony.
Yes, sir.
You, pre-separation counseling. What are your thoughts on it?
Ain't no children in the room, huh?
Do you think it's thorough? Well, when you came out, do you feel like it was thorough enough for you?
Okay, so I'll say this. I'll say this to give it its just dues and give credit where credit is due. There are a lot of benefits when you get out of, I'm going to say, the Army, because I don't know any other branch, right? So I know the benefits that I've learned during my time out from the Army. However, 95%, and that is being modest, of that information came from soldiers who found out the hard way, and I met them during my time when I got out. Because the information, the information that is given or was given, I'm going to say was given back in 2015 was enough to get you started and get you into VA without allowing you to know everything the government really owes you. And it's a lot. So they give you a book, right? And the book's probably about that thick. It's about the same size as Black's Law Dictionary version 4, if anybody wants to go grab that. So if you haven't read Black's Law Dictionary, you're not gonna read the VA book either. Just being honest. I'm just gonna be real with you.
I can't take it.
So it's about that thick, and it's full of information. But again, if you don't know what you're looking for, you don't know how to recognize what you're looking for. So a lot of times when it comes to putting in claims, how do you go about finding a job? How do you go about finding a job in which you are qualified for because the Army or the military had a job classification that doesn't transfer over to civilian life? Just because you were a cook in the United States Army does not mean you are fit to be a cook in the civilian sector. Just being honest, not the cook to the level that you think. Yes, you can get a job at Burger King, McDonald's, maybe even Red Lobsters. Do not expect to go and compete with someone who just came out of Cordon Bleu, who's in the civilian sector. It is a completely different standard, right? When you eat meals in the military, they are not cooked to pristine condition for you to have filet mignon and all this other stuff, right? So there's a difference. You are cooked food that is meant for you to survive. When you are talking about being an engineer, a lot of people go into combat arms, right? Because they have the energy for it. They have the who or whatever else. What they don't tell you when you go to the transition point is how to convert combat arms to something that speaks to a civilian. That's what they need more training on. That's what I'm going to say in 2015, which is, 6 years ago, or pulling up on 6 years ago. But that's what they needed more training on then. Also, for mental health, and I have to touch on this because it's a big deal to me. It runs on both sides of my family, and I deal with it myself, right? From a mental health standpoint, I do not feel that it should be something that the United States Army allows you to leave the United States Army without having a mental evaluation. The reason I say that, we are taught active duty. Again, I can only speak for active duty. Suck it up and drive on, non-commissioned officer, right? I did 10 and a half years. At 23, I was a staff sergeant. Got the records, got the documents, DD 214 and everything else to prove it, right? Graduated top of my class and everything. Drive on. Your back's hurting, drive on. Take a knee, drink water. You've got pain in your shoulders, that's okay. Take a knee, drive on. You know what I'm saying? That mentality is harmful to you. And after 20 years of doing that consistently, it is equivalent to what Mr. Holmes was saying earlier about him working his job as a pipe fitter. Do that for 20 years consistently, day in and day out. It's backbreaking. And at the end of it, your retirement isn't enough. I'm going to be honest with you. Your retirement isn't enough because I can give you a list of retired personnel right now who still have second jobs. And not because they want a second job, because nobody wants to work, but because they need a second job in order to live. So that, again, is one of my other issues with transitioning out of the Army and giving the military 20 years of active service or even more of non-active service, because you're still caught in the same binds, right? You're going to get out after 20 years and you're going to have a bunch of opportunity now. But how much opportunity did you pass over the last 20 years? Think about how much technology has moved in the last 20 years. Think about how much medical advancement has passed in the last 20 years, right? Building construction, automobiles, everything that we look at has drastically changed over a 20-year span. The problem I find is that after 20 years in, after 10 and a half years, is there anything that the U.S. military is going to tell you that's going to set your next generation up so they don't have to do 20 years? That's a personal thing.
For me, I got off active duty in 95, and I will honestly tell you, uh, pre-separation counseling back then was shit.
Oh.
Yes, they gave you that book. Yes, they gave you 2-3 days to uh, get your medical records right, get your dental records right, get document whatever injury that you may have occurred. Um, if you have had leave left over, um, yes, they'll take you through the job thing, the job fair, so to speak. Um, you'll go through a lot of pre-separation things. But when I got out in 95, they didn't have mental health stuff. They didn't touch that. It's a lot of information that they did not give you. Another thing, when you got out, you get this arts transcript. I think it's AARTS, whatever it was.
Yep.
But now that thing, as you were talking about job classification, it broke down what your job classification was in the military. Now, you could go online or whatever it was available to you at the time, back when, okay, well, you can go online and compare your job classification to what it relates to in the civilian world. Now, my job in the Army was chemical operations specialist. That dealt with nerve agent, nuclear weapons, biological weapons, chemical warfare, hazmat, all of that stuff. When I looked up my job classification after I got out, you want to know what that related to? True Green and Chemlon. That's what it related to back then in 95 when I got off of active duty. Now, when I looked into those jobs, as Mr. Don was saying, $5, $6, $7 an hour. I'm looking at that like, yo, what the hell? Yeah, I had a little bit of time where I could chill. I didn't have to work. I was still getting a little check, but I had to work. And being that I wasn't really prepped for civilian life, because at that time, I really, as I said, the pre-separation counseling was shit back then. I really didn't take it seriously. So it definitely was shit, because it was shit on that end, and it was shit on my end because I didn't take it seriously at all. So take it seriously, however big or small it is. Now, I did not take a job with True Green and Chemlon because I was like, I'm not doing nobody's goddamn yard. That is not me. Hell no. I'm forget what you heard. I'm not an outside working person. It's not for me. So for the longest time, I worked in warehouses, temp jobs, $6, $7 an hour. I didn't like working at night. My first job coming out, I worked at night from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. I didn't like it, but I had not taken it seriously. I did not have a mentor while I was in, and that pre-separation counseling was not something that I took serious at all, and it did not prepare me for civilian life. So from 95 in civilian life, from 95 to 2006, I was working temp jobs in warehouses until 2006, when I got a contractor job in DC. But in 97, I joined the National Guard. And, the National Guard was, God damn, it was hell, as far as progressing and this, that, and the other. It's gotten a lot better. A lot of those things that they did not address in the military as a whole, they address more. So, I mean, pre-separation counseling, it was garbage. It was real garbage.
If I may interject, one thing I will say of positivity, because I don't want to be like the in every game show or whatever else, there's
Right.
always
Yeah.
a negative guy. I don't want to be Simon, but I'll be him, if I have to. Uh, but but one thing I will say, and I will advise anyone that's watching or may watch this, is as you're going through the military, understand the way life works in general.
Mm-hmm.
You train. We have a saying in the Army, and so you know this by heart.
Mm-hmm.
Train as you fight,
Yep.
right? So that means that you train on the level that you plan on being, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in the military, you're training to stay in the military. Just take a second to let that marinate for a second. If you're in the military, you are training to stay in the military. Everything about you is training to stay in the military, which is another reason it is so difficult to get military minded people to become civilians. Because in a civilian sector, it is very much so dog eat dog. You go out there and you go get it, right? Versus being in the military where you're taught it's a teamwork. There's a system in place. There's an SOP for everything. We all know being in the civilian sector, there's an SOP for nothing.
In most places, yeah. In most
most,
places.
most things is just like, look, hey, figure it out as you go. Okay, look, that's why we have tech guys. You call the tech guy up and hey, what's going on with this piece right here? I'm working on it right now. But in the military, there's structure. There's, everything is structured. And it is, as Mr. Don was saying earlier, there is that paradigm shift of being in the military, having this blanket of security, right? So if you think about a child, when they have that blanket of security, they feel comfortable no matter where they go. That's how it is in the military. You have a guaranteed check, whether you go to work or not. For 30 days guaranteed out of the year, you will not go to work, right? Plus another 30 days, right, that you're going to mandatorily be off because of holidays. So for 60 days, you have of not being able to go to work and you're still going to get paid. We got excited about that. But most of our viewers are not going to get excited because they don't know what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
I will go on a limb and say there is security in not knowing what that feels like. The reason I say that, only the hungry animals go out and hunt. But the ones in cages that are fed everything that they need, they're comfortable. But an animal's primal instinct is to hunt. We as humans are meant to get what we are wanting to have for ourselves, right? And we do that through different ways. I'm just saying that this is my viewpoint. There's a as J. Cole said, it was better when he was broke. There were things that he had to learn to love when he was broke, when he didn't have it, when he had to go figure out how to make money. Because the military teaches you to save money and to maintain and manage money, but they don't teach you how to make money. You make money by moving up in rank in this system, right? But when that system is broken and now you're working at a corporation or something else, you're no longer in that same system. So Sergeant Major in the United States Army is nobody when he goes to Ford or wherever else. You see what I'm saying? Your rank doesn't translate is what I'm saying. So I always say I'm big on entrepreneurship in the Black community, and I'll get off my soapbox. I'm big on entrepreneurship in the Black community. And I do have one question that I want to ask to the entire panel of brothers here today. And that is, do you think we would be having a conversation about the military had our parents been entrepreneurs?
I will say yes and no. The reason I say yes is because, again, it comes back down to choice. Um, Once you graduate from high school, as I did, I also had the choice to go in the military or pursue college. I chose to pursue college. Um, but later on in life, I did change my mind and I was considering going into the military. For whatever reason, it never worked out. But on the flip side of that, I would say if my parents were entrepreneurs, if they owned their own business, I think my mind and my opportunities probably would have been greater uh, had they owned their own businesses. That's my take on it.
Um, for me, ugh, I would say I kind of agree, but if I don't know, I will if I can base it off of my upbringing and just hypothetically saying my mother wasn't in the army, my stepfather wasn't in the Air Force, my other mother wasn't in the army. If I didn't have a whole bunch of military people in my family, I don't know. Um, but at Sun Solar, I didn't want to join the army, but when my mother sent me to Florida, I I had nothing to do. I had no other options out there. I couldn't get a job. So I was like, I'm not going to sit down here and you know, feed off the streets. And like you said, only the hungry get fed. Hey, that was my prey at the time. That's where I was going to get fed. That's where, it was for me. So, um, I look at it as I had no other options because I had nobody saying, "Hey, well, let's try this, let's try that. Um, let's try to get you into entrepreneurship," because around me, that wasn't even a conversation. It may have been people in my family who were entrepreneurs, but most of the family that I was around, especially when I went to Florida, they was either into local government, law enforcement, or something like that, and nobody said, "Hey, let's try to get you into this. Let's try to get you into that." And I was like, you know what? I got to do something. And I know I can get into that. So that's where I went.
Yeah, I just want to chime in to make 2 points about what uh, we've been discussing. So to answer Anthony's question, he probably know where I'm going to come from anyway. But the point being, has always, it's a matter of choice.
Right.
It's a matter of choice because if you ask the question, do you think I would do it because my parents are entrepreneurs? How good of entrepreneurs were they? Because they were bad entrepreneurs. Guess what? You probably went to the military.
Probably.
If they were bad entrepreneurs, they you wouldn't gonna want to be like them. But if they were great, chances are you probably would have been an entrepreneur. But that's the whole point. Just because you are something, but then there's degrees. Are you good at it? Or are you in the middle? Or you just so? Because just to be an entrepreneur don't make it a certain thing. Because there's a lot of people that got business and entrepreneurs are not very good at it. They probably should
Mhm.
be doing something else or working for somebody. And you probably been exposed to businesses like that. You're going like, man, why are they in business? They should be working for somebody instead of trying to have somebody work for them. But then and then the opposite end of that spectrum is there's some people that run a great business, they got a great job, and you go like, man, where can I get some stock in this business, man? They're
Mhm.
great entrepreneurs. They know how to get things done. They know how to do this. So to address that point, it all depends on how well your parents were entrepreneurs. Because chances are, just because you see somebody running their own business, is how well are they running their business. Because you could be having a business struggling, or you can have a business prospering. And just from human nature, if you see someone doing good, you say, "Hey, you doing good? Maybe I can do it too." So I probably want to be an entrepreneur, and I probably wouldn't have went to the military. But looking at my case, my oldest brother, was in the Army. My second oldest brother was in the Marines. Where you think I'm going?
You going somewhere?
Yeah, I'm going somewhere.
Yeah.
My other two. Let's see. My mom's a licensed practical nurse, and my stepfather at the time was a retired longshoreman. So two guys in the military, and my mother's a licensed. A registered nurse, and my stepfather is a retired longshoreman. Worked on the state docks for years and years, and got his retirement. Worked there, did his thing, back-breaking work, unloading ships for years, and he is retired, chilling. And my mom and my stepfather was 19 years older than my mother. So he was up in age, and he was retired doing this thing. There I was, graduating from high school, and he's already in his 60s, chilling. And here my mother, she's still going back and forth to work. She's working from 11 to 7 at night. So I only see her when she gets home. I'm going to school. When I was coming through high school, anytime I was going to school, she worked 11 to 7 basically her whole career. And so I would see my mother coming home, going to work at 10 o'clock at night, and then coming home 7 o'clock in the morning when I'm getting ready to go to school. Mm-hmm. So if I was late, then I would see her. If I left early, then I knew I wouldn't see her. So the whole point being parents, military. So I can only speak to, like we was talking about, my truth. My truth was that I was mainly influenced that, hey, my oldest brother went to the military. My second oldest brother had already retired from the military, from the Marines and stuff. So I wanted to go to college. I even went to college, and then that didn't work out for me. I wasn't focused enough because I went to a junior college and I was already at home with the same old people drinking wine and smoking weed. I tried to go to school.
Oh man!
I tried to go to school and then go hang out with my friends. Yo, man, you want some of this? You want to hit this? No, man, I got homework. That didn't happen. No, let me hit it one time.
Oh man!
Let me hit it a couple times. Man. And a couple of weeks of that, and then school got boring, and so hey, I dropped out. I dropped out of college and went on to the military. I need to change. I got to get away because this environment just wasn't conducive to what I wanted to do with my life. So I got out of the military. I joined the military, got away, and started doing my thing. And one of the reasons why I stayed in all those years, I kept going home, and every single person, all my friends, yo, man, you gonna stay in? Ain't nothing out here.
Yeah.
Yo, dude, you come back here, man, I'll just beat you up every day. You stay in the Navy. You stay there. Ain't nothing out here, man. Ain't nothing. Every single time I come home, ain't nothing out here, man. This ain't for you. Ain't nothing out here. And guess what I did? I stayed right on in there. So it's all about your environment. Now, in comparison to if you was coming back to an environment where there were people saying, yo, man, you need to get with this, man. We got our own business. We running this. We running the show. Come on, man. You need when your next enlistment up. If you had somebody like that, chances are you wouldn't have done. I wouldn't have 25 years, 20 years or whatever time if I had somebody like that. So it's all about your surroundings and what's motivating you and what's getting you going, the choices that you make, the people that you're dealing with. Because that was my truth. That was my environment. I kept coming home to people telling me that, hey, man, whatever you doing, wherever you at, it's got to be better than what's going on here. And that's why 25, 30 years later, my neighborhood looks like a ghost town because they felt it coming. The factories moved away. There was no economic empowerment. My hometown, everybody moved to the city 5 miles away because they had more investment. They had more people, enough insight, attracting businesses, having home ownership and all this kind of stuff. In my hometown, Pritchard outside of Mobile, Alabama. Uh, uh, they, I can't explain what happened. It just went to crap, complete crap. There's only one person that stays to the left of my mom's house. There should be at least 8 houses on the street. All 8 houses are tore down.
Mm.
There's nobody that stays. There's nobody that stays to the left of my mom's house. She's the only holdout.
Mm. So, what's your question,
Oh, oh,
Anthony?
So my question, and thank you for that, brother. So my question was more of a statement, actually, kind of. Anyway, environment, right? We're talking and discussing about the environment and how it affects the decisions we make on whether or not life after the military is even a first option, right?
Mm-hmm.
And while we were talking, I got to thinking about when Brother Don was saying about whether or not you're doing entrepreneurship right. Are you successful at it? The thing is, people, honestly, and we all, in some ways, if we think about this, can attest, honestly don't know the inside track of what's going on.
Mm.
They know what they see on the outside. If you have a fancy car, they think you have money. If you have a paycheck month to month, and it's guaranteed, they think you have money. But look at the actual poverty rate of those in the military, right? They're right above, and I'm talking active duty soldiers. If we sit back and Google it, they're right above the poverty line, minimum wage, right? For 24/7 active duty service, right? So that drug dealer that's on the street is the entrepreneur that these young African children are looking after. That's the entrepreneur. The problem is that's the only entrepreneur that they see, right? Because he's the one, they don't care whether or not he's doing it wrong or right. They don't care how many times he's been locked up. They know he continues to get out. They know that he's got the car that they want. He's got the house they want. He's got the chains they want, right? He's got the money that they're trying to get, right? So they're seeing these things. The military person, on the other hand, leaves completely, right? And normally goes to a completely different location because of what Brother Don was saying, of the environment influencing this decision that nothing is there. And what they're really saying is we're not doing anything here. So that's where the dialect has to change and the conversation has to change, right? Because if they were seeing people doing something, then when he got back from the Navy, he might have heard a different conversation, right? So I just look at things and I personally feel this. I've seen it in Houston, Texas, right? Where we literally created a slab program to be able to teach the children in 3rd and 5th Ward how, that were in the juvenile detention program, how to build a car that is unique to Houston, called a slab, because that's what they were going and robbing for. That's what they were going and committing all of these crimes and everything else for, was to get this. And now they have a trade under their belt, right? And they can actually build these slabs, and they started seeing how much money was made from being able to do it versus the crime. So it's not necessarily the lesson being taught, it's how you teach it. And because we're not teaching entrepreneurship, because we're not showing that, because we're not pushing that as an envelope, because trade school has not been as publicized as college has or the military has, then that's what our children seek. That's what they want to go for. And if we're really wanting to influence those who are coming into this new generation and going to be pushing things forward, we have to push them in a different direction than that in which we've already been. That's the end of my slogan.
Well said.
Sounds so like you got anything else on that?
Just that I totally agree with that. I mean, for a lot of our youth, especially there in the inner cities, they tend to gravitate towards what they see. And again, if you see someone who's making their money the fast way, as opposed to someone who's actually in the game for the long term, as they say, meaning i.e. building a business from the ground up. Or going in the military, as a private and then working their way up. Of course, they see that person that's getting the money the fast way is that's more exciting to them. That's the short way of getting to whatever it is that they so desire at the time. And I definitely agree that we need to push more trades, more entrepreneur things along that line, to our youth.
Um, Man, that went a long way away from pre-separation counseling, but
My bad.
and we got a lot to tackle. But I mean, those are very valid points. And before we move on to the next point, but like I said, and I believe this wholeheartedly, the military is a big trade school. And I know that we've beat it up, and we've thrown a lot of a lot of negative stuff towards pre-separation counseling, and certain experiences that we had. But at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of people who came from nothing, as Brother Don was saying, joined and elevated themselves to a lot of places. So we can't ignore that fact. But on back to pre-separation counseling, yes, we have our negative experiences about that. But at the end of the day, if you are not groomed, or you're not grooming yourself, that pre-separation counseling is going to be more shit than it was. Like I said, I didn't take it seriously, so it definitely wasn't helpful for me. Um, but at the end of the day, uh, you grow every day, you mature every day. You should take every day as a learning experience and take control of your life, because only you can at the end of the day, the decisions that you make for your life when it comes to joining pre-separation counseling, um, that's literally your path, because you have to make these decisions. Go ahead, Brother Don.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what you're saying, and basically it comes down to each individual possessing and taking ownership of their life. If you know you're getting out, or if you find out that you're getting out unexpectedly, you're in the military, how far is it your responsibility to get you going? I mean, the military has a responsibility. They didn't snatch you up. They got you in a certain point. But has all of us always told, it's on you.
Hmm.
It's you as an individual, because we know there's people in the same situation or been in that situation before, did something or didn't do something or whatever. But it comes down to you taking responsibility, researching, using your God-given talents, and applying them to be what you want to be. Because there are just some people, as you already know, there are just some people that don't apply themselves enough.
Hmm.
They don't apply themselves. They're always throwing their hand up for help. I need help. I need help. I need help. And that's just legitimate people that need help. But it comes down to you taking possession. And I can only tell you what I did for myself. Man, I was on the computer all day researching, trying to get as much knowledge as I possibly can for myself, so that when went there, I was more prepared, because I knew I couldn't be one. I didn't want to be one of those people that was running around here looking for a job and getting turned down time and time and time and time again. Thank goodness it happened. It didn't happen to me like that, but I knew I was prepared, because I talked to friends, I talked to family that, hey, once I got out of the military, what did they do? I had people that I knew had got out. I called them up. I talked to them. I was networking. I was doing everything I possibly can to improve my chances of finding a job. Or, and one more comment about the college and trade school. So I was having a conversation with my son about what society promotes,
Hmm.
and how they promote and what they promote. So when it comes to the trade school and the college thing, so you can look it up. If you're a college graduate, you're gonna make more money as a college graduate per se in comparison to a trade. Has to my point. My point has always been this. The ultimate goal is to make as much money as you possibly can doing the least amount of physical work possible. That's but there's some people that got a job. They make $100,000 a year, and all they do is sit on a computer screen and type stuff. They make good money just sit on the computer screen. Then there's some people that make good money playing football. They're millionaires playing football. But I wouldn't call that doing less physical work as possible. They're doing some serious physical work. And then there's some people that just sit on the bench. They play football, but they sit on the bench and make money. And I bring that point up in that I agree. We need to steer our kids or steer our young people into the trade school. That too. But college is always going to be there because these are the people that's leading the world. They're leading. Your city councilman has a degree. Your state leaders has a degree. Your president has a degree. Your state legislators, these are people that go to college and get a degree. Are there people that in trade school that are trade as business people that have made their money? Yeah, they're mixed in there. But the vast majority of people, so of course those people are going to promote what they've gone through. And that's why you see them. I'm just explaining why they push to college more so than trade schools. Because trade schools are the ones that'll walk up to your school or come to your school or whatever and say, hey, you need to be a mason or you need to be a mechanic and all this kind of stuff. So, but the reason why you see them pushing the college education more than the trade school is that the people that's doing it are from that neck of the woods. So they're always going to push things they know. And we need more entrepreneurs. We need more people to promote their college. But if you look at TV, you always see these Tulsa welding schools. You start seeing a lot more of these commercials within the last 10 years. You see a lot more. There needs to be more of that. You see dental tech. You see trades being promoted. So we're getting there. But yeah, we got a long way to go. So like I said, I agree. But that's why you see college always going to be because these are the people making the big money. And not to say that trade school you can't make good money, but these are the people that know that you're going to make good money. And that's my comment.
That kind of takes us into the next point, which is the GI Bill. Let me tell you, GI Bill is a great thing.
For you, I'm just joking.
However you decide to use it. And I say that because you look at it like this. You join the military and for 12 months, I don't know how I'm assuming they're still doing the same. For 12 months, they take $100 out of your paycheck for 12 months.
Oh, active duty?
On active duty.
No, they stopped doing that.
They stopped doing that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
it's 100% now.
It's 100%?
Yeah, it's 100% straight out. They don't take the $100 out anymore.
Well, that's even better.
Yep. It's 100%.
So check. So okay. So when me and Mr. Don came in, they was taking $100 out of our check for 1 year.
Yep.
And when you got out of the military, your college was pretty much paid for. And it was a matter of you being responsible enough and determined enough, making good choices and owning your path in life. Your degree is paid for. Now, when it comes to National Guard, I don't know exactly how it is in reserves, but in the National Guard, let's just say you do 4 years active duty, you got that. You get out of National Guard, most states pay 50% of your tuition. So you got enough money from the GI Bill to cover college. You go in the National Guard and they take 50% off the top So you paying half of your tuition, and then they have tuition reimbursement and all kind of other things. So not only are you going to school for free, you're also getting a damn paycheck. And now with the GI Bill, you can transfer that to your children. I will say I wasn't wise with my GI Bill first coming out. But hey, it is what it is. And yes, it was the Montgomery GI Bill. So what is y'all input on that?
Hold on, let me go first. This gonna be quick and short.
All right.
It was not good at all. It was 2 for 1. Whatever one you put in, they gave you $2, and I wasn't feeling that at all because
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't participate, because that was the bill. It wasn't whatever money you put in, they was gonna give you $2 for it. They were gonna double. That was it.
Wow.
So it basically sucked. I don't
Oh,
care if nobody liked it from my time. And like I said, they have changed it since then. But
Mhm.
at the time, that was the only negative point, that when I was in, when it got time to go to school or get money up or whatever, that's what they were offering, and that's what you could get.
Wow.
That's my whole point.
Mm.
But that's
That's from your time.
Yeah, that's from my time.
Okay.
It's gotten better, because you got to remember now, we didn't have any conflicts, any wars, or anything going on like that. But since you guys came along, Iraq, Afghanistan.
There's a storm and all that.
Afghanistan is what, 20 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, just my point. I'm done.
So we finally found one that I'm all positive on. So I have absolutely nothing but positive things to say about the post 9/11 GI Bill, which is what it's called now.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Don, you might want to look into it. I'm not sure if it crosses over, but I know that they were crossing over the Montgomery GI Bill with the post 9/11 back in 2010. And that was because of a lot of complaints from veterans and so on and so forth. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize you have access to after you finish the post 9/11 GI Bill is what's called vocational rehab.
Yeah.
So you can go to Voc Rehab, which basically doubles down. And the beautiful thing about Voc Rehab is they will actually pay for your trade certification and pay for your tooling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big thing. Myself personally, I use my GI Bill to get my several trades. I knew I wasn't a college student. I'm a very much so. If you start teaching me something on Monday, when I come back into class on Tuesday, I'm going to have that same project and I want to know how I did on it. So trade school worked perfectly for me. And that's what I use my Montgomery GI Bill. I still have my post 9/11. I mean, not my post 9/11, but my Voc Rehab, and I'll be using that soon. I have nothing but positive things to say about education afterwards. I will say, maximize, to caveat off of the last point that Mr. Don said before we switch subjects. Capitalize on your post 9/11 by getting a trade. The reason I say that, COVID and the whole coronavirus pandemic let us know something. The job market will close down, but only those with a skill will continue to eat. Period. It showed it to us directly. If you were a barber, people still were getting their hair done. Cosmetologists, people were still getting their hair done. Doggone, if you knew how to weld, people were still getting stuff fixed. You will never be out of a job with a trade. I am not downing college. However, what I will say is college allows you to be hired by someone. A trade allows you to hire someone. So that's it. Education rocks. Post 9/11 GI Bill.
Yeah, I can't look. I think of all the benefits after serving, I think the GI Bill and all those educational programs are fabulous. I also to throw into that, while you're on active duty, I know if I'm not mistaken, you also can use educational benefits while you're on active duty. Another good thing about being active duty or the military period is you get military discounts for trade schools, colleges, and all this, that, and the other.
Yeah, why
So
you like to do I know when I was there, they pay 80% or whatever.
yes, so I mean, when you look at the education standpoint, that is priceless in itself.
Mhm.
So if you just do 4 years, as we all said, have your plan, have your mind right, because you know where else are you going to get that college money? Like when I graduated high school, I had no college money. I was not groomed to think about college. I was not groomed to for scholarships or loans or none of that. I wasn't groomed for any of it. So when I went active duty, oh yeah, you know, you're gonna get this, you're gonna get this, you're gonna get this, and then getting off active duty and coming into the National Guard, it's like, oh, well, you can get the GI Bill kicker, which is another,
Kicker.
whatever the
Yep.
case may be. Again, tuition reimbursement, tuition assistance, and with the post 9/11, you go to certain schools and you get a damn stipend.
Mhm.
Like, where else are you going to get that? You can't get that nowhere else. So big props for that. So like, you got anything to add to that?
Let me make a point from. Let me make one quick point from my son, who makes a very good point with me about generational wealth. So you didn't have any money when you graduated from high school to go to college. I didn't have any money to go to college. My son, I told him I was going to pay for college, but he didn't want to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
So the point I'm trying to make is that as we uplift ourselves and as we move along with the next generation, it's got to be a mindset, because having wealth enough helps move us along quicker and faster, because those that are wealthy and able to set aside money for their young ones and for their youth do not have to face that. At least they will have a platform, a solid platform to go, whether they want to go to a so yeah. So if they will have a solid platform, they will have a solid platform to either go to trade school or go to college, because that's great. When you graduate from high school, it would be nice that you don't have to worry about, do you have enough money to go here or do that? No, you just go. Okay, you go to your parents and say, hey, I want to be a welder, or I want to be an electrician, and that's good money being an electrician. I want to go to school to be an electrician, and you don't have to worry. You go give them the money and they go. But that's the whole point, that the military came in. It takes the place of those people that's not able to have the resources. So you trade 4 years of your life in for resources to go to trade school,
Mm-hmm.
or resources to go to college, and that's where we're at. So we as a people, we need to get better at preparing our kids for adulthood.
Yeah.
Oh.
And before we move on to the next topic, yeah, I definitely agree. Trade school is where it is. COVID has taught me that, and COVID has made me say, I wish I went to a trade school, because the things that I have learned on YouTube
Facts.
University,
Facts.
man, I am so mad I did not go to a trade school. Like literally, in this room that I'm in, you can't see it, but I put the walls up in here, tore them down like a jackass, but I put them up. Um, I've I, I've laid floors in this joint.
Mhm.
I've done electrical work to the best of my abilities until I was like, you know what, I'm calling an electrician.
Uh-huh.
Hell, last night I bought a lock. Well, I bought a lock and I was putting it on the door, messed the damn lock up, called a locksmith. I'm like, hey, can you come reset this lock? Oh yeah, it's gonna be about $300.
You figured out how to do it yourself.
YouTube University, I took that lock apart, put it back together in about 10 minutes, and
Uh-huh.
it's fine.
Uh-huh.
Get a trade. Get a trade. Get a trade. Get a trade. Plumbing, electrician, mechanic. Oh, get a trade. Just get a trade.
So on that note, brother, and I'm so glad that you said that. I'm so glad that Brother Don said what he said. Brother Son, thank you all so much for saying what you all have said tonight. This has been beautiful. I want to say this, that to caveat on what Brother Soul was saying, right? So I went to Tulsa Welding School in Houston, Texas, right off of Greens Road. And I had one of the instructors, Miss Heather, sit us down during one of our class sessions. She closed the door, said, I got to be honest with all of you. It breaks my heart that you all paid $22,000 to be here, because if your father or your uncle or your brother was a welder, they could have taught you for free. Right? So this is the other thing that I love about trades. And I learned this again. I've got 3 certified trades, right? Thanks to the GI Bill. Shout out to the shout out to
GI Bill.
You feel me? Shout out to Post 911 for doing something right. You know, chapter 33. I love seeing y'all come to my account. But what I learned is, when you go out into the world to work, the world wants to know one thing: can you get it done?
Yep.
That's it. It doesn't matter what school you went to, how prestigious you thought it was, nothing. I had the president of Tulsa Welding School write my recommendation letter for me to go to TXRX Labs. And when I went there, they said, we don't care what school you came from. Can you weld this? Because that's what they were hiring me on for, was to be a welding instructor. So they wanted to know, can you do it? Period. The beauty of that is I can teach my son, who's 11, he'll be 12 this year, how to weld. I can teach my daughters how to weld. And they can go, as they turn 18 and they're of legal age to be able to work, they can go to a job as a welder, and they are not going to ask them what school they came from. They're going to say, here's this 3G weld test. Can you do this butt pipe right here?
Yep.
That's it.
Can you arc weld? Can you whatever else?
And when they say I am a combination welder, I've been doing it since I was however years old, right? That is what is going to drive them. That America is built on the backs of the workers, not the ones in the head of the company. And that's the reason if I ever jump on the show again, if you ever invite me again, if I can stop stuttering, got the Moses effect, y'all forgive me. But if y'all ever invite me back again, you will see that I'm consistent about that. I'm big on trades. I'm big on entrepreneurship and us passing that down as generational wealth, because as much as I will pay for a degree, I will not be able to pass that down to my children.
Right.
But I can pass that skill down to my children. I can show my children how to become a barber, and they can be barbers, and they can make money even while they're in high school, cutting everyone in high school's hair. If they do decide to go into the military, Brother Soul, you and I both know that there was a barracks barber everywhere you go. There's a barracks barber. And if you the coldest one, nobody's going to the PX. Nobody's going off post. They come into your barracks room.
Yep.
So, again, a big advocate of trade school. Shout out to the GI Bill.
Yes.
Shout out to trade schools. Get your money.
GI Bill. Oh, man. So, yeah, look, GI Bill is all that. So again, if you could sift through whatever nonsense that we talking about, if you ever just take 4 years of your life, 4 years of active duty, and it's a 6-year contract, 4 active, 2 reserve, or whatever. Look, maximize that GI Bill. Maximize it. If you come out, join the National Guard, take advantage of every educational benefit they offer. Get your trades, live your life.
Right.
That's all I got on that. So let's talk about the VA home loan. What are your thoughts on that? Because throughout history, it wasn't always pleasant, but as time progressed, it got better. So what are y'all thoughts on that?
So I haven't used my VA home loan yet. Reason being, Reason being, I don't want to get a home loan unless I know for a fact that I have a homestead, i.e., I'm going to be building a generation, there. I am, however, big on tax liens and investigating properties of that sort. What I will say though is, if you are retired and or you are 100% from the VA, most every state in the 51 states of the U.S. will give you tax-free property rights.
Yep.
Right? So you will not pay property taxes, period, as long as you're 100% and or retired. And I think you have to have a certain percentage from the VA if you retire after 20 years. But that is a huge benefit for anyone that is looking to buy land, most especially. Because in buying land, you can build whatever you want to, and if you don't have to pay property taxes on it and the land is yours, there you go. You just opened up, a freeway to yourself. So that's my take on the VA home loan.
Mr. Don?
Well, I'm sitting in a VA loan house right now. What can I say? What can I say? And ever since I've been out, I've always used the benefit. It's a benefit, and I don't know if you guys know how that works with the VA loan. With the VA loan, it's so the VA they take their good name and say, yeah,
very much.
We're gonna loan him. He says he's a veteran. We're gonna loan him the money. You other people that are not veterans, guess what? You got to find a lender that's gonna loan you that down payment, or whatever. And the VA lets you do the down payment and factor that right into the principal. So you just mortgage everything, because normally, if I'm not mistaken, you gotta most lenders want you to come up with the first 5%,
10, 15, 20%.
Yeah. They
between 10 and 15%.
Yeah, they don't even look at you. They don't even want to talk to you unless you come in with cash from your side. If you ain't going no, you come up with a little bit of that, but we'll take care of the rest of that 10%, whatever it is right now. So that's the advantage, and basically, but you still got to pay the money back.
Oh yeah,
facts.
It's still a loan.
They ain't giving it for free now.
It's still a loan.
Son, if I know if you knew about that, but you still have to pay the money back. But the point is, they allow you to purchase the home with not having as much money as you would have without them, and I think that's the advantage that veterans have. I think it's a good thing. I ain't got no good positive things. I'm sitting in the house right now, and I'm looking forward to it.
And
I don't
understanding. So, my apologies, brother.
Go ahead.
But from my understanding, I believe a couple of years back they dropped it to where it used to be a 620 credit score, and now some lenders are actually approving 580 credit scores. So, credit is becoming a little less of a problem for those who may be getting out, having issues, whatever else. It is a great benefit. So I guess we found two things.
Oh yeah. I got my house in 2012. Prior to that, I had no desire to get a house. I had no desire to even think about the VA home loan. Yeah, I knew I had it, but I never thought I would get a house. But situations change. My credit score at that time was about a 620, 625, whatever the case may be. And printed off that home loan certificate and started house shopping, found a house, went to closing. Hey, and before that, I was looking at first time home buyer programs and this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. Didn't need none of that. I go to closing. Let me tell you, not one dime out of pocket. About 30 days after I moved in the house, I got a check for like $6,000. I'm like, what the hell is that? Wait a minute. So look,
I know that's right.
And the beauty of it is, if you do your VA home loan right, like Anthony was saying, buy some land. If my head was there, I would have bought some land, built
Mhm.
whatever I wanted.
Mhm.
But I'm not complaining about the house I got. I got
Facts.
a I got a 5-bedroom house, swimming pool in the back. I'm good. It's not in the ideal location as far as land goes, but I got that. And the beauty of it is you can use the damn VA home loan more than once.
Yep.
And I think the only requirement is that you have to stay in your house for what, 2 years, I believe,
2
something like
years.
that.
Yep.
Now,
2 years.
look at it like this. You get you a house with the VA home loan, you stay in it for 2 years, rent that out, turn it into an Airbnb, go get you another one.
Mhm.
Come on now. Where else can you do that?
The other thing with that, and it's crazy that you mentioned that, because I just had a conversation with one of my fellow tribesmen out in Houston. They were telling me about what they've started doing, which is flipping houses using the VA.
Yes. Another thing. Yes.
So they're buying the properties off of tax liens, through the tax lien auctions, buying them for what the appraisal rate is, using the extra cash to go ahead and fix it up, and then flipping it and putting it back on the market. So it's so many different ways of doing it. And again, like my brother Jay-Z said, I bought the land and tore the house down. You know what I'm saying? So in areas like Mr. Don was talking about, where the neighborhoods are run down, African people in America, by black people across the world, whoever may be watching this, those are the areas you want to buy.
Yes.
Those are the areas you want to get your hands on and make it generational and hold on to it. Because let me tell you what happens. And we've seen it happen time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
Those areas get run down and redlined just long enough for us to go ahead and get rid of them and say we don't want them because there's nothing growing there. And then the area booms. And as Jay-Z said, I could have bought a place at Dumbo before it was Dumbo for like $2 million. That same house today is worth $25 million. Guess how I'm feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Dumbo. So use your VA home loan however you see fit, but think about the generation that's coming after you, and
Exactly.
always build. Try to build something that they can hold on to. That's
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
agree. I agree totally.
Yeah. Yeah. That's two things that we give high marks to.
Yeah.
Now.
Education and home loan.
Yes. Yes.
They got those two right.
Now, this next one, whew, it's gonna be a humdinger
Uh-oh.
because
Don't say medical.
man, look, and matter of fact, we gonna wrap the next two up together because they kind of coexist in their own little bubble. But the thing about it is, you have to be smart.
Mhm.
You have to do your research. You can't take a fuck it pill and just slide through.
Mhm.
And because it works for some, it doesn't work for all. And what I am referring to is VA disability compensation and VA medical and dental care. Whichever one of y'all want to take the floor, we're gonna try to keep our comments brief so we can just get around it. But I know where it's going. I already know off the break.
So I will start on a positive lane, right? I'm gonna start on a positive lane and I'm gonna end on a positive lane. That's the beauty of it.
Okay.
So
Wait a
on a
minute. Hold on before you start. Let me say my comments and I'm done. They're gonna be 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. My 30-second comment is this. I am just so disappointed that when it comes to VA medical and VA disability, that me being a team player all my life in the military, not being one of those people that every little pain and hurt or stuff, I trudged my way through. I got up and went to work and I worked through the pain and I didn't go to medical so I get down to the end of my career and I'm punished for being one of those people that went to work hurting, went to work with a little pain. And the people that get rewarded is the ones that every little thing that hurts them. They went to medical for.
Mm.
They got documentation. They got documentation of what hurted them, or what pain they had in their side, or
My
their knee
toenail
hurt.
hurt.
Yeah, my
Mm-hmm.
toenail hurt. And
My
so when they get
eyelash is crooked.
evaluated, and when they got evaluated at the end, oh, you get 10%. Oh, you get 50%. Me, we ain't got no record of nothing hurting you, so you don't get nothing. That's all I got to say.
Woo!
Hey, look, hey, that's the truth, man. That's the truth. So
That's my truth. That's the truth.
that's the truth. That is the truth. So my positive take was that some VA sessions are better than others. That's all I'm gonna say. Some of them are better than others. I transferred from Killeen, Texas, Fort Hood, right? Going through Darnell Hospital, so you know how much that sucks.
First calf.
You feel me? All the way. So from there to Houston, Texas was better.
Mm-hmm.
The VA in Belton sucks. Like, absolutely. Temple sucks. And I spent 3 months in the domiciliary up there at Temple. And it sucks. I hope my future girlfriend's not watching this. But
Oh man.
but the healthcare, there's so much lacking, and it's not on the behalf of the staff. It's lacking because of the system that is in place in the military. Like Brother Don was saying, when you play the team player, right? And you know how we are in the Army, most especially if you're trying to make it through them NCO ranks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, you better not be a sick hall ranger. That's not. We make songs about y'all. You know what I'm saying? And march to them. You know, we make cadences for that for a reason. So it's a stigma of not feeling pain and not annotating the pain. What it helps in your career that may not last long because you're in pain and you can only take so much, hurts you when you get to the VA. Because the VA has to do an assessment first based on the documentation that they have in front of them. You see what I'm saying? If they don't have anything in front of them, they're dealing with hundreds of thousands of, of military personnel, veterans who are coming through. Each caseworker is each case is saying something similar. They can't really help you a whole lot. So they try to have to fudge it a little bit, but that's also why you have the DAV and, other, the Disabled Veterans of America, so other organizations like that are meant to be able to help you and kind of guide you if you do get lost in the system. However, I think that is a major thing that the VA is lacking on completely, is that they cannot help every single veteran because of the way the system is designed to keep veterans in service. Medication wise, I do not trust the medication, right? And I'm saying this as someone who's been medicated since 2008. I've been diagnosed with PTSD since 2008, bipolar disorder with onset symptoms of schizophrenia caused by traumatic events. I've been through all of the type of exposure therapies and everything else. What I will say is that the VA is definitely getting better about mental health. Now, I was there in 2009 when the shooting happened at the SRP station, and also there April 2nd, 2014 in the building at 4th Sustainment Brigade. Wow. So what they are not doing is a good job of checking the mental status of veterans while they are serving. If you can catch it while they're serving, you don't have to worry about it as much when they're on the outside. There's a support system. You're supporting it versus when they're in and we're going through, different traumas and so on and so forth. I have, myself included, still have battle buddies who have not gotten therapy, and we were in the exact same room for April 2nd.
Stigma.
Wow.
See what I'm saying? So it becomes a cycle. I said I was going to end it on a good note, and I will say this. Wait, hold on. I was trying to find it. It's there. It's there somewhere. Wait, I'm gonna find a good note. Wait, I'm gonna find a good note. Right? I'm gonna find a good note. Okay, so this is a good note. If you want to try out different medications, like if you just want to, hey, look, I would just love to see what Klonopin would do, just out of curiosity. The VA has no problems with giving you medication.
However, comma.
So, hey, look. If you start growing horns out of the side of your head more like a cow at 2:00 in the morning, the VA will not be held responsible. So that's that little warning that comes on at 2:00, that says, hey, have you, contracted so and so and so forth are bad. Yeah. But yeah, the VA system is definitely medical wise. Again, mental health is a separate, they treat it as a separate identity from like general health, your nurse, your standard nurse practitioner, right? Primary health. They treat it as something separate, to the point where the mental health facility is in most cases that I've seen from Texas to Florida in a completely different facility. Almost as if they know that we're just crazy enough not to be around regular people, but not sure. Like just in case.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Good with the bad, man. Got to take the crookeds with the straights.
That's it.
Sunsoul, you got anything thrown there before I jump on?
I'll just go back to the VA loans. My father actually got a VA loan on his home, so I can attest that they definitely do work and they definitely do help out veterans. So definitely take advantage of that, people.
Yeah, this disability, medical, and dental. What I will say though, first off the break, is a positive. When you get off active duty and you are in a certain tax bracket, your medical care is damn free. So that is a plus, depending on how you sustain your life and how you are maintaining at that point. So that's a plus. I'm not sure what the dental part of that.
Dental is 100%.
Okay, dental's 100%. All right, so there you have that part. But again, that's when you within a certain tax bracket. And for a long time, I was in that tax bracket, and I was going to the VA getting my free medical and all of that stuff. As far as disability, that is one of those things to where it either works for you, or it doesn't work, or it doesn't work for you. The key thing in that is you need to be proactive in your pursuit for your disability benefits. Because like Brother Don was saying, he wasn't one of those sick hall rangers going there for every pain. Oh, my eyelash is crooked. Oh, my hair follicles are falling out. Oh, I snore at night. Oh, you know what? I talk in my sleep. Now, because people don't document all that stuff, and as Anthony was saying, when you get to the VA, it's like, I'm dealing with 300,000 other people who has nothing in their medical records. What do you want me to do? But the more you document it, document it. Even if you got asthma while you was in the military, make sure you document that. You got ear infection, make sure you document that. You twisted your ankle, document that, because as long as it's documented, it benefits you in the long run. Those are my positives. Now, my negatives may be a little different, because this is something that I've seen throughout my entire military career, and it burns me up to no end. And I don't fully blame the system, but I kind of blame the system. people take advantage of the system and they mess it up for other people. Now, I don't know where the disconnect is because the VA system is not that perfect, but you have people who say, "Oh yeah, I can't sleep at night. Oh yeah, I'm depressed." Not downplaying anybody's, medical issues or whatever the case may be, but there is a large percentage of people out there who are manufacturing illnesses and all this kind of stuff. And when they get to the VA, it's kind of like being an actor. You have to act this role out. You have to be convincing. You have to be this, that, and the other. And you play this role so good that they start giving you all those medications that you want to take because it boosts your rating.
Percentage.
It boosts your percentage. And now you have to take these medicines because, hey, they're going to give you a urine test or a blood test to make sure that you're taking these prescriptions. The downside to that is now you've created issues, health issues, mental issues that you never, ever, ever, ever had before. Now, I was told after I came from Iraq, "Oh, why don't you tell them you got PTSD so you can get a higher percentage?" Oh, hell no. One, I have kids I want to take care of. Two, I don't like taking medicines because me personally, I don't trust a lot of the medicines out there. Another thing, I want to work. I am physically and mentally able to work. I want to work. I have goals. I have dreams. I have desires. The other thing is, I have kids to take care of. I have kids looking up to me. So that is my good and bad about the system because once you start playing these roles, you have to keep them damn roles up because hey, they find you a fraud, you got to pay that money back.
He's got a point. He's got a point on that. And it's I don't know, like the last time y'all went into a VA for what they call an S&P exam. Even the workers there will tell you, hey, next time you come in, bring your cane.
Yep.
Next time you come in, make sure you got your knee brace on.
Yep.
And this is the thing.
Yeah.
This, and I'm gonna in all transparency, I'm gonna say this. Get your money.
Yes, get your money.
Get your money. Speaking from an Army perspective, they are going to use you until they cannot use you. So get your money. Period. The system is broken. That's on the system to fix itself. But
Yep.
the system is broken in a lot of ways. It's not my responsibility to fix the system. It is my responsibility to take care of myself and my family. So my advice to anyone is get your money. When I got to the point where they started my med board and they told me I couldn't continue anymore, and then I started seeing that, hey, look, I'm drinking a whole lot more than I was doing before, and it's literally just so I can make myself pass out. Don't fight the issues that you're having because you'll fight them long enough to lose a marriage. Then lose another marriage. I'm speaking from example, right? Then to go up in rank and come down in rank, fighting the same issues because the same anger that was a good thing at one point and made you a high-speed soldier makes you a disgruntled NCO. Take care of yourself. That is my advice to every veteran, period, across the board. But with a most special emphasis towards my African American veterans. Take care of yourself. You have earned it. I don't give a damn if you were on a fob the entire 15 months or 12 months that you were deployed. And if the only job that you had was doggone babysitting the USO, you earned it. Because there's nothing like putting your life on the line seriously for all of the police watchers out there. But seriously, putting yourself in the shoes of a soldier and putting your life on the line not knowing whether or not this is going to be your last day. That will
Mm.
fuck with you, excuse my French, no matter if you were in the USO folding towels, or if you were outside of the wire going down Sniper's Alley, or if you were going back and forth throughout Baghdad internationally. Get your money, take care of yourself, take care of your family, set up generational wealth. While you're in, if you're already serving, set up generational wealth, not just in the sense of finances, set up generational wealth in what you're able to pass down to your children. My son is 12 and he has been outside of Korea for about 9 years, and yet he still listens and can understand Hangul
Yes.
because his babysitter, because both his mother and I were both active duty at the time, and his babysitter was full Korean and only spoke to him in Korean. That's something he will hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
That's an experience that he doesn't have to join the military to have that experience. His mother and I both have passports now. He has a passport now, and we've given him and his sisters that opportunity to be able to say, you don't need the military to see the world. But if you're already in, set that up for your children.
Yes,
Do
indeed.
not waste 20 years just thinking about yourself, because as you build a family, as my brother Dame Dash said, what if your children are not as strong as you were?
Mm. True stuff.
That's it.
So Lex, you got anything to throw in on the disability and medical?
I would say this. One, my grandfather was a World War II veteran. So anytime he needed to go to, the VA, I was lucky enough and privileged enough to be one of the grandchildren that took him. Um, as far as I can see, they did the best they could for him. So I'm truly grateful for all the people who looked out for him. Uh, I would say I had a relative of mine who unfortunately had a mental issue. Um, and it started while he was in the military. Uh, the thing about it was he was getting medical benefits for his issues, and the branch of the service he was in, uh, he had accumulated so much money into his bank account where uh, because he stayed in and out of the hospital so much,
Mm.
what his um, I guess his representative or whatever started doing was they started taking the money out of his account
Mm.
Mm,
while he was in and out of the hospital. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the bunch of the biggest BS I've ever heard of. How
mm,
you gonna take money from a man who's going through, these mental and medical issues, and he's earned that money? That was the craziest thing I ever heard of, someone facing a situation like that going through. So um, again, I just think that when it comes down to, what Anthony was saying about, get your money, but make sure you're responsible with your
mhm,
money. Make sure if hopefully you are, in the right mindset that you can take care of your own money. But if you can't, please, by all measures, find someone that you trust who you can assign to be over your money. And I'm not saying that, to be a negative Nancy or anything like that, but that's the reality of it. When you go into, whatever branch of the military you go in there with, the most sincere uh, efforts of protecting your country and protecting your family. Uh, I'll never forget my father, again, who's a retired veteran. Uh, I was asking him, what did he miss most about being in the military? And he told me it wasn't about being in the military per se, it was the soldiers
Mhm.
around him that
Mhm.
Mhm.
he missed the most.
Right.
People. Yep.
Because he said no matter what situation they were in, whether his brother to the right was white or his brother to the left was black or his brother behind him was Chinese, it didn't matter.
Mhm.
While he was in the service, they all protected each other. They had each other's back, whether they were in the most harshest conditions or they were, back in the barracks or, out on the town. They had each other's back regardless.
Mhm.
And I'm just saying that that's something that, whether you're in there or not, that's something that I believe all soldiers have in common of knowing that someone's got my back
Mhm.
regardless.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up about your relative was in and out of the hospital and you know somebody was taking his money. That is another thing, and I say that I'm glad you brought that up because in the military it's easy to give somebody a power of attorney
Mhm.
to manage your stuff, and whether you trust them or not, sometimes you have to designate somebody to handle that stuff for you. Some people get money hungry, and it's unfortunate. But it's no different from if I hit the lottery and somebody comes say, "Hey, I'm a financial advisor. Let me handle your money."
Mhm.
Um, but you definitely gotta be aware of that. And whatever you're going through, hopefully you have a trusted person that can handle that for you. Um, the last thing that I will say about that is for a lot of people, when it comes to getting out and disability and all that stuff, some people are overwhelmed and they don't want to do it. Um, some people think it's too hard. Some people don't know who to talk to. It's a stigma. If I ask this question, they might think I'm dumb. Look, there's somebody somewhere that will help you prepare your medical records for when you get out, go into the VA. Do not, like we said, don't don't dismiss that. All of us have been that person at some point and said, I don't want to go over there for every, little ache and pain and this, that, and other. I don't want to be that person. But look, you got to do what's best for you. And if you think stubbing your toe is going to get you 30% when you get out, hey, document that
Facts.
because
Facts.
um, sleep apnea.
Mhm.
If you think you have it, don't just look at that. Oh well, yeah, I snore at night. Nah, document that. Um, just document it because that can be the difference between you living comfortably after you get out, or whatever else. I mean, just think if you do 20 years, or even if you get a medical discharge, you getting money.
Mhm.
You can work part time. You can get a trade and still have a check coming in and be an entrepreneur. You have several streams of income which can help you build your generational wealth. And that's all I got on that part.
I just want to add one little thing.
Go ahead.
I get absolutely no VA benefits whatsoever,
Oh wow, really?
except the house.
Uh-huh.
All my medical is done through the naval base here, which I go to the hospital, and I'm a patient. I go to a clinic there, and
Mm-hmm.
basically that's where my doctor's at.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really don't I really don't have any contact with the VA whatsoever.
Mm.
And it's been that way for at least what I've been out 22 years. The only thing I had done by the VA was, like I said, I got the VA loan, and then they did my teeth. They did my teeth for about like a year, a couple of years after I first retired. But other than that, that's about the only thing I deal with the VA. All the rest of it is regular, retired Navy, so I deal with them through the just regular retired military system.
Okay.
I just wanted to make that point
Okay.
because
I mean, yeah. Hey,
yeah.
do whatever
But
works.
But my son he has talked me into to be more involved. I am going to go down. I don't even have a VA ID card.
Mm-hmm.
I got a regular military
Retired.
card I got from the Navy, but I don't have a VA card, which I'm going to do, and I'm going to start looking to benefit because somebody else told me I probably need to look and see what my benefits are with the VA. I'm at the point now where I'm within 2 years of retiring. Period.
Right.
Yeah, this ain't one of those retired where I go get another job. No, I'm gonna stop working.
I'm done. No, I'm done. I'm done.
No, well, I said it knowing my mother. My mother retired about 3 times because she kept saying she's gonna be done. She worked at a hospital, and then she started working at the hospital. Then she went to work for a retirement home as one of the nurses over the retirement home. And then she quit there, and then she went back. I mean, she retired from there, then she went back. We got her a plaque and everything. Gave her a plaque that, you've been a registered nurse for all the years, then she went back. But the point being, I'm listening to you, brother, son. Hey, I'm definitely going to go back and look at my VA. My son encouraged me to go get that. So, yeah, I'm going to definitely look into it. And I actually have the time to go research. But I've been honestly waiting for this COVID situation to improve. And everything, so definitely gonna look that up, especially within the next year. So, gonna retire in the next 2 years, and I think it's just a great conversation. And us brothers getting out, sitting around having a little conversation about the military and our opinions and our outlook about it. I did the longest 20 years, and then I've been out the last 21, 22 in civilian world. So. And then I know my son has had his moments with the VA and in different hospitals, ins and outs. So yeah, he's definitely authority on the reality of the way our military. But I keep through this whole conversation, the first thing that's been coming to my mind in comparison to other countries and how they do their military. And and the one that always sticks out of my mind is always Israel. Well, it is a requirement for men and women to do at least 4 to 6 years. No questions.
Right, exactly.
No exemptions.
Yep.
None. You don't get a choice.
Yeah,
you don't get a choice. You got a high school. You go to the military and you do military service. And I don't know how many number of years, but I know all of them have to do military service, and then they get to do once their military service is complete. This is complete. But being American way. I think about how far we come when you used to have the draft.
Right.
And people have been talking about trying to go back to the draft. But no, it's a volunteer. It's a volunteer military.
Yeah.
And the benefits and the point that brother's son made was a point that, is evolving, it's getting better. That the VA or whatever is evolving. But to think about it is that you have a person that has put their life on the line, and they have got to scramble just to get their benefits. I just don't. I got a problem with that.
Yeah, I think we all got a problem with that.
Yeah, I really got a problem with that. You have got to be kidding me. I go and give my best years, young, vibrant, my best years, because whether you're ranked. Because you ain't hanging around when you 37, 38 unless you high ranked. And by that time, you ain't putting too much on the line.
Damn sure ain't.
You 37, 38 years old, you're a commander, master sergeant or something or whatever, and you sending other people like, hey, y'all fighting good. Yeah, keep it up. You stand right at the back. So, think about it is the young guys, the young people are the one that's landing on the line and putting their life on the line and they're the one that's basically making the sacrifice, and then come back. They got to jump through all these different hoops to get something done that they deserve, that they done already sacrificed for. Yep. So yeah, I just think that we always need to be holding our leaders that's in charge of the VA. We always need to be holding their feet to the fire to make sure they get it right, because the bottom line is we always got room for improvement for our veterans and the people that defend this country and make and defend what is promising to be. And that's a whole nother podcast right there of
Yes,
what
it
it
is.
is
Yes,
and
it is. Yes,
what
it is. Hey,
that's a whole
look.
other podcast of what it is and what it promises to be. And that's
Yeah.
all I got.
Hey, we got one more talking point. Y'all want to push through it?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
All right. So this one is, what are some of the misconceptions when it comes to leaving the military?
Man.
And the first question under that is, you don't get anything for dedicating your life.
No, that's a misconception. Yeah, that's definitely a misconception. I won't say you don't get anything. Even as critical as I am of the military, I still am very thankful for it. Again, I went in when I was 17. I came from a background where I was raised right. You know what I mean? Both parents, had equal shares in being able to raise me. But there were, like Brother Soul was saying, there were limited options out there. Do I think that I have gotten as much as I deserve? No. But would I say that I didn't get anything from my 10 years of service? I would definitely disagree with that. Because I've been able to grow and see things and being exposed to, which for me, exposure is one of the most valuable things you can possibly get, is exposure, because it opens your mind to things. But I've gotten that from being in the military. I've gotten that since I've gotten out of the military, even if I had to fight for it. So I would definitely say that's a misconception.
About you, Brother Don?
Well, I come from a different perspective, because I deal with this on a day-to-day basis of knowing that I spent 20 years in I talk about this all the time. My best years, and how much, and you think about football players, uh, elite athletes, they're in their prime from about 18, 19 up to maybe what, 31, 32.
If that long?
If even, yeah, I'm about to say, if that long.
If that long,
Yeah.
and they're at their prime. So you get your prime years. In return, thank God I was able to do 20 years and actually get a retirement check every month. Is it enough? Maybe, maybe not, but it helps. It pays my mortgage. It pays my mortgage, and it pays my uh, uh, electric bill.
Mm-hmm.
And it sets me up real nice to be fortunate enough to have that and to sacrifice it. So, in my perspective, I got that. I got my retirement. I did my 20 years. I got my retirement check, and knowing that, having that income for the rest of my life, I tell myself all I gotta do is do something that's pretty simple and easy. All I gotta do is take care of myself. That's all I gotta do.
Oh man.
All I gotta do is take care of myself, and the check just keeps coming.
Yeah.
And coming and coming and coming and coming. So if I take good care of myself, I'll keep getting my check, and I can take that check. I can take that check and bounce off, use that as a launching pad. Uh, Try to back up some of the things that I believe should be done. Because a lot of people got a lot of mouth, but they don't want to put their money where their mouth is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to the day that I can actually put my money where my mouth is, especially when it comes to my kids, my grandkids, and just my relatives. Because I definitely believe that being in the military changed my life in a positive direction, and I can talk about it. I can tell you some things about my day-to-day life structure, getting up early. In the military, you get up early. Period. Point blank. The first thing you learn is how to get up early.
Mm.
If you never got up early, when you get in the military, that's one of the first things they teach you, how to get up early and what to do when you get up early. And it's a simple fact. I can go on and on about some of the things they taught so that I still use to this day. Was it negative? Anything that you're gonna have people involved in is gonna be a mixture. It's gonna be a mixed bag because most people are a mixed bag, even the good ones and the bad ones. The good ones, they'll do stuff good, but then they have a bad spot here and there. Or the
Mm.
real bad ones, they'll do something real bad, and then all of a sudden they got a soft spot or a good spot, or one or two of those. So it's always a mixed bag of the military. So do I feel as though I got my word for whatever I did? Eh, it doesn't matter. It's all about what you do from the next moment, the next 5 minutes, the next I mean the next hour, the next day. Like I tell people, it's the next day is the rest of your life. It's all how you choose to live it. You know, holding grudges and holding stuff good and instead of moving forward. Anybody tell you, I'm a positive person, so I tend to look at all the things that had the bad and the good and molded me who I am today. And I was fortunate enough uh, to make it through unscathed with my reasonable mental health intact. And
Oh
my health.
man.
Yeah, I complain about not getting the 30% or 20% of VA, but I was complaining to somebody a few years ago, and they were talking about, well, what do you want? You want what I got, and have to report back to them all the time, and take their medicine, and take stuff that you probably don't need or whatever because of because of some ailments that you had in the past just to get a check. He said, "Do you want to be that? Do you want to be that?" Or having to do that, I'm like, yeah, money's still money. I get your money. But
Mm.
the simple fact of the matter is, I look at it on a positive note. Hey, I came out reasonably healthy. I had a few little aches and pains, and my mental health was reasonable. So I look at it I take it from a positive side. Hey, hey, God is good. I made it. I was able to retire from the military. I got experiences that will live with me forever. And I will piggyback on uh, what my brother said about it's all about the people. And I remember back to some crazy people that would give you the shirt off their back. They were just genuine, good, down home people. Were they perfect people? No, but they were good people. And that was the whole point that touched my heart about them. They were just good people, give you heart. And some of them were white, some of them were black, and that would let me know that, hey, it don't matter what color you are. They're just good people out there. Period. And unfortunately, you gotta figure out which ones are good
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
which ones are bad and all that kind of stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was. I look back on it it was a great experience. I love going, and if you had to ask me, I love going to the Caribbean, seeing all my black chocolate sisters walking around there, my brothers and everything out there in the water, eating lime and grapefruit and all kinds of stuff down there. And of course, that was back when I drank. I don't drink now, but yeah, yeah, we had a great time down in the Caribbean, man. But that was, hey, I know this ain't a podcast about the good things, but hey, I tend to want to stay positive about the good things and the military veterans and retiring. But hey, looking back, it was a great experience for me.
Um, as far as me, do I feel I don't get anything for dedicating my life? Hey, I'm still in, so I can't say it yet. But I will say, um, what I get, one of the biggest things that I get out of it personally is a sense of pride, a sense of honor. Um, outside of that, I love a good military discount. Um,
I'm with you, brother. I'm with
love a
you,
good
man. I'm
military
with you, brother.
discount. Uh, I love, getting on planes and I don't gotta pay for luggage. Um, when I get to that point of retiring, I'll have to revisit that because as of right now, I'll say this for this one and keep it short because I know I could go on just like brother Don. I can go on, but I'll say this: I will never say that I didn't get anything because I've gotten skills that I would not have gotten anywhere else. I've gotten that exposure where would have never gotten that exposure. Um, I've gotten, jobs because of, serving. So I think what I've gotten so far is enough? No, but I'm still going, and I'm not at that juncture to say, well, I didn't get everything that I personally deserve. So when that time comes, then I'll have to answer that question. Son Solex, I know you haven't served. Your father has. What do you think you got from your father dedicating his life
Man,
to,
that's a
to
great
the to the
question.
army?
That's a great question.
I'll say this. Based off of my experience as being a military brat, my father taught me discipline.
Hmm.
He taught me
Yeah.
about being responsible for your own actions. Um, he taught me about time, how your time could be one of your greatest assets, that you really got to take advantage of your time. He taught me about, carrying myself as a man. Um, yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. All that was taught to me as a child growing up. Um, it taught me responsibility of family and friends. Again, when it comes down to strangers, that's something you give a handout, right? But when there's a friend and a family member that you're trying to help, that's a hand up. He
Hmm.
taught me that there's a difference between that. So, I mean, I could go on and on about all the things just by being a byproduct of my father serving in the military. Um, the list goes on and on, but as someone who didn't serve but got the benefits of someone who did serve, I can't say anything but high praise for it. Again, there are a lot of times my father was gone um, by being in the military, but again, all the things he taught me from his experience from being in the military,
Hmm.
I'm totally grateful for that.
Yeah, I wanted to specifically ask you that because we served and you didn't, because oftentimes the forgotten person is the family member.
Exactly.
And like we say, the family serves just as much as we do. Even
Yep.
though we signed our name on the line and took that oath,
Hmm.
the family serves just as much as us. And I've been on both sides. I was a military brat too, and so I definitely get where you was coming from with that.
Oh yeah. I,
Um,
I just I just want like to add some because I see the question here, and I said, man, I don't think I even answered the question was about the misconception.
oh, we under that whole topic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, go ahead.
so under this topic, how do vets? And I know this is going to be a touchy one. How do vets feel about politics once they are no longer living the military life? No longer living the military life, because we all have our opinions, you know, as civilians. But when you get out,
Mr.
politics, how does that factor into your life?
Let
Mr.
me
Don, I'm gonna let you
let,
go
let,
first.
yeah, let me hit that one up.
I'm gonna let you go first.
Let me hit that one up. First of all, first of all, I was I joined the military when I was uh, yeah 18 going on 19. So going through those years of finding out where you stood in the American political system, where you were liberal, conservative, or whether you were Democrat, Republican, or independent, or none of that, whatever. So I had to go through all that at a young age and figure out talking to people. And yeah, we'll get political. And I quickly, I would say quickly, but it took a little while, but finding out exactly where I stood on the level of politics, on my beliefs, or what I felt about people, or where I felt about governance. Was I conservative? Was I liberal? So I came out of that being, now that's me, my personal opinion. I came out of that being a conservative, a liberal, a conservative Democrat.
Hmm.
So I had always voted Democrat before I even went in, but I didn't do that much voting before I went in. My mom was a Democrat, and I kind of picked off her. But then I found out with my knowledge and research that I really was a Democrat. So, and I was kind of conservative, but because I believe in God and I believe in the conservative side of the Bible. There's a liberal side of the Bible and a conservative side of the Bible, but don't tell nobody that. But don't tell them that. But the point is, that's why I came down because I believe in helping other people, and because I just couldn't see how you believe in helping other people or giving people money for no for and asking for nothing in return. That's a liberal idea, but we were told to help people or give people or help your brother or help your sister. But how that relates to the question about political, once I found out where I stood, I found out that I was in a very, very small minority. That most people, especially my white fellow sailors or whatever, they were very conservative. Most of them were Republicans, and I was already a minority being a black guy anyway. But then I was really a minority when it came down to what I believed in and who I felt like should be leading the country and where I came in. So being in, we got into some good discussions, but it never got to the point like it is today where it just completely over the top. Sometimes I see, and like I said, I'm not in the military today as it is, but I can tell we got into some good discussion, but never to the level like it is now. So I think things have got a little bit more uh, uh, heightened from that point. But I know on my job that I work at now, uh, I've gotten into some good political discussion, especially when it comes to Donald Trump, who is a figure in and of itself. When you say that name, it automatically sparks a reaction one way or the other. You just hate him. I wouldn't say hate him, or you don't quite like him that much, or you kind of just love him. And when you say that name, it automatically sparks an opinion, either for or against. But the simple fact of the matter is, being in the military, I think most guys were really about doing what they were told, carrying out the orders that were given to them, and not looking at it from a political standpoint. But we were always taught and groomed that, hey, if you got a political standpoint or whatever, watch what you campaign on, watch what you do, or else that could affect your career from a local career standpoint. And I know why I was in, I never got that deep into politics while I was in. Only thing I was worried about, I worked on helicopters. The only thing I was worried about my helicopters and get my job done. I wasn't too much in political state, but since I've gotten out, I got a lot more time and a lot more put a lot more effort into keeping up with the way things run. But now over the last 20, 25 years and keeping up with it, it's an even flow. One side gets in power, the other side gets in power, and they go like that. But I think those in the military now uh, are in a different environment. They got multimedia, and they can actually get on there and express their point of view about what they think or whatever. But I'm not really sure. I'm not that much of a snuff. I think the military did come out with a multimedia policy about some of the things you could say or could do in multimedia. I'm not sure. Uh, I guess you'd be able to. You'll be able to answer that about military and their multimedia policy about expressing your opinion about about our military leaders or about the about our political, not our military leaders, but our political situation and stuff. But yeah, it's different. It was different from what I was in.
So, Anthony, how do vets feel about politics once they no longer live the military lifestyle?
Okay, so thank you for that question there, brother. So Brother Don, thank you very much for your exhortation. Let me first off say this: I am a rebel. I have always been a rebel. I will probably always be a rebel until the day that I die. That being said, I was in service during the Bush campaign. I was at the presidential inauguration for Barack Obama, and I was leaving the Army when the United States Army sent out a mass memorandum to all soldiers stating that they could not criticize publicly the new president, Donald Trump. And I was very, 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 very satisfied that I had got my DD 214 in hand, and I was able to say whatever the F I wanted to. So,
Man.
So that being said, there's a political silence that is apparent throughout the military. You can't criticize while you're at work, right? Of course, the U.S. Army regulation says that as long as you are in uniform, you cannot speak about any political campaign in uniform. However, as we have seen throughout the years, most especially as racial tension builds up in this country, it has become almost imperative that you have a stance and that you speak on your stance, even in the military. As our fellow lieutenant, witnessed out there in Virginia, that became very political. Once he let them know, hey, look, I'm a soldier, I'm a veteran, I'm in uniform, and the cop responds, yeah, I was too. I was taught to obey. It's very difficult to be in the United States military, most especially during these times, and not have that voice. So I think that as Black veterans, most especially, it is imperative that we make sure that we have a voice and we speak for the soldiers who are there and that are currently serving who do not have one.
Well said. Well said. For me, since I'm still in, I will compare my time now, since I'm in the National Guard, to my time when I was on active duty. When I was on active duty, I didn't give a damn about politics. Didn't care, didn't research, didn't know who the hell my congressperson was, none of that. But being in the National Guard now and being in so long, I started taking a vested interest because I know that these politicians make decisions that have good or bad implications on our service to this country. So I have taken an active role in making sure, hey, if this person is making choices on my behalf that will benefit me, I'm going to look to make sure that person has a better chance of getting in that position. If not, then I'm not, supporting that, because you don't have my best interests at heart. You don't have the man or woman to my right or left, my back or my front at heart. So, that's where I am in with politics now, as opposed to active duty. Active duty, I was 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. And that was, and as Brother Don said, it was a political silence. That was not talked about. And as you were just saying, you have to have a stance on something. You definitely have to, I feel like now you definitely have to, without going overboard in what you believe and what you support, you definitely have to let people around you know where you stand, so that they don't come at you with a whole bunch of nonsense, politically or ethically or morally, even when it's under that political umbrella. So
Facts.
that's why I stand on that one.
Facts. And to caveat off of that, there's and I've been thinking about it this entire time we've been talking about veterans. There's a scene in the movie Free State of Jones where they're having a conversation with one of the Confederate troops, and the gentleman says, "I'm out here fighting for honor. I'm not fighting for cotton." And the protagonist of the movie says, "Well, good, because I'd hate for you to be fighting for cotton." And that's the political realm. Of course, this is set during 1775, 1776, which is, where the fight was really about cotton. It wasn't about you know, anything on a honor stage. It was about whether or not, you know, you were going to be able to keep your slaves or not. So even now, you know, after serving, and I mentioned that because after serving in Iraq the first time, 2007 to 2008, and going through some of the trauma that I went through and looking at the people who were around me as a black man, it was very difficult for me to be surrounded and literally hunting other people who had skin tones like mine and not be able to say anything about it when I got back to the US and realized that what we were over there for was a bunch of bullshit. Because what America was told that we went over there for wasn't the reason we were over there. And as a soldier and now a veteran who is no longer in uniform, I can proudly say it. That's not what we were there for. That's not the reason some of my fellow battle buddies died. That's not the reason I watch people burn. That's not the reason I have to take pills to take nightmares and so on and so forth. So as a veteran, as a black veteran in America, I speak up as vocally and as loudly as I possibly can for those black service members who are not able to speak right now. For those battle buddies of mine who did not make it home to be able to have a voice and feel how they feel about it, I speak up on any stage possible to make sure that it is heard.
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
Well said. Well said.
Oh man. So we're gonna throw one more question at you. Once retired, when it comes to the military, do you live with any regrets?
Good question.
None.
I think you always don't have regrets. I regret I didn't make E7. I regret that all the time. I retired as an E6, but I regret not making E7. That's one right off the top. Uh, I, I regret I regret a lot of things. I regret some of the decisions that I made as far as my career on a career level in the military. I regret some of those decisions that could have been very impactful as far as me making E7, but you know, I just didn't make the right choice, you know.
Right.
And I kind of wish, and there's other regrets because as we learn now, time is very precious because we always think we got enough time, but then, you know, I'll never forget. I'll never forget the time that I was E6. Like I said, I retired as E6. I was working in a quality assurance, which is where we go and look behind people that do work. And I'll never forget that there was another female E6 in there with me, and she just walks up behind me and says, "Okay, done. Your time's up." I said, "What do you mean? Your retirement here is like 3 months." I'm like, I knew about it, but you know, I'm just coming to work every day doing my job, and she got put in charge of making sure I got what was due for my retirement and retirement ceremony. Make sure, and basically that's the way they did it. They latch you up with somebody, and basically they just look out for you, get your paperwork straight, and start telling you go here, go there, go here, go ahead, and get you moving in that direction. So 3 months, she walks up to me and just let me know that hey, it's time to go. And then all of a sudden, you know, you start going back over your career, and I just want to mention I saw her about 2 or 3 years ago, and she made it up to 05.
Oh wow.
But she made it up to 05. So yeah, she jumped in enlisted ranks and made it to officer, and then she left. She left as a 05 and everything. So I saw it in the commissary store, but the point being was that you have regrets because at that point I had already made my mistakes that I felt like kept me from making E7. Yeah, I regret making E7. So the point being was, and with all things, you take advantage of your time. It seems that my brother son there, he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's still in the mix, and he understands about that knowledge is power, and take advantage. But everything's got to be managed. You got to manage you got to manage your time. So take advantage of it. Uh, uh, Me being a older brother and coming to in a different season, I tell all my younger persons, my nephews, my everybody that will listen, I be trying to tell them, hey, take advantage of your time. It'll be over before you know it.
Mm.
Just before you know, you wake up and bam, it's gone. Because I can still remember that when I first went in, I just thought it was just so long. It just time just seemed to just creep by.
Mm.
Bye. It go by quick.
Yeah, it just seemed like
Facts.
it just creep by so slow. And then I start, and then I did 10, and then I got to be like 15 years in, and I'm like, they were like, okay, yeah, you got 5 more years. I'm like,
Mm.
man, 5 more years, that's so far away. And then next thing you know, they was like, okay, you out of here. I said, what do you mean you out of here? Yeah, it's somebody else's turn. You done had your shot.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and imagine somebody telling you that. You
Mm.
done had your turn. Your turn's up. You done did
Yeah.
all the serving you can do. Your turn's up. It's time for you to let somebody else take it.
Mm.
You can feel good about that, or you can feel bad about
Yeah.
Mhm.
it.
Definitely. Definitely. Definitely.
But all our time is coming. Your time is coming too.
Look here. Let me tell you.
Yeah, your time is coming too.
Let me tell you. When it comes to regrets, I
Yeah.
have a few. My first regret is I did not stay active the 20 years. That
You'd
is
have been
my
done, huh?
that's my biggest
You'd have been
regret.
done.
I tell people all the time, I wish I would have stayed active 20 years. I would have retired in what, 2011? Yeah, I would have retired
Yeah.
in 2011. Um
Mm.
yeah. I've had a few breaks, which is why I'm still in now.
Mhm.
Um uh and like Brother Don was saying, you know, I got out and I didn't make the rank that I wanted to make, and I regretted that. So hey, I was like, you know what? My goal is to hopefully exceed everybody in rank that was enlisted
Mhm.
that's in my family. Um, might fall short of that. I got 2 more years on my contract. Um, so I don't know. Other than that, like Brother Don was saying, a lot of decisions that I made going through. I know I could have been a lot further, a lot faster, and I probably would have stayed active duty had I not made a lot of those mistakes. Um, Other than that, making good use of my time. But other than that, I don't have no other regrets than that. That's the bulk of my regrets is not staying active duty and not making better use of my time and making better decisions.
And what about you there, Mister Anthony?
He said he
Hon-
ain't had no regrets.
Honestly,
Oh,
honestly, so this is
yeah.
my thing.
Honestly,
This is my thing on that. I used to deal with regret in a very negative way. My way of dealing with regret was through drinking,
Mm.
and I was what the army classifies as a functioning alcoholic.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of them in there.
You feel me? Um, so I had to through much therapy. And shout out to all of the great therapists that I've had over the years. They really have a great job, and they probably need a therapist after dealing with me. Um, but I just don't deal with regret the same way. I look at every situation as I am on time, even if I'm late. I'm on
Hmm.
time because there's something that I was supposed to see or supposed to not see at
Hmm.
that very time. Um, if I was to take anything back, then there were other parts of my life that wouldn't have happened. So I just don't have any regrets, man. I wish I could see at some point, if I had like a alternate, button or whatever else like they used to have on the DVDs where you can get the alternate scening or
Yeah.
whatever else. I wish I could have seen what it would have been like if I would have went drill,
Hmm.
because I was DA selected to go to drill, but
Wow.
I caught a case. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a huge thing, bro.
Damn.
That's a huge thing, bro. And look, I was leaving, so now I got to talk about it. So I got to talk about it. Hey, he said, hey,
No, you ain't.
look,
No, you ain't got no regrets. No, you ain't
look,
got
That
man.
hey,
no.
when
So
you
I was
said that
leaving,
before you start, when you said that, that hurt my heart.
bro. I was leaving South Korea, bro. I was leaving South Korea. DA selected to go drill. That is the only thing I wanted. That's the only reason I even went into the Army. Period.
Damn.
Was to go drill. I was young, a young non-commissioned officer, high speed, but I couldn't separate my doggone penis from my job. So,
Ay.
I just keeping it real, keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? And hey, look, you know what I'm saying? They took me through the ringer, man. They took me through the
Oh,
ringer. So
man.
or rather, should I say, I took myself through the ringer because it was my penis and I did it. So so yeah, I took myself through the ringer. But
Man, you killing me.
but yeah, man. So I used to regret that heavily, and you can understand why I used to drink so much. Um, yeah, but now what I say is, I watch my battle buddies, and thanks to this great construct called social media, I am able to keep up with my battle buddies, two of which have gone drill, and we all were going through all of the NCO boards together. We went through WLC together. We went through BNOC together. You know what I'm saying? So to see them excel is like me excelling.
Yeah.
And I take gratification in seeing that people that I was with continue to move forward, and I laugh at their stories, and then something will happen and I'm like, oh, I can say something that you can't say right now, so let me say it for you, and they'll just like the comment, and I love it. I love it.
Hey, I feel your
So
pain, man.
so it's hey, man, look, when I tell you that hurt, bro, it hurt, because that was my mission too. My mission was to be the best out of my family, right? And six is where we all are.
Mm.
Like literally, even on my mother's side, six seems to be like the plateau. And
Damn.
as an 88 November, right?
Ooh,
You
that's my
know,
second MOS.
man, so you already know how logistics, you know how the transportation corps works, right?
Yes.
It's a star MOS.
Whew.
So if I would have gotten that DA, if I would have gone to Drill Sergeant Academy and just gotten my hat, I was guaranteed I would have made it. Guaranteed I would have made at least Sergeant Major. Guaranteed.
God damn it.
Guaranteed. Because if you can pass as an 88 November, if you can get past Sergeant First Class, which what it takes is a special identifier. I had
Yep.
every other class that I needed, period.
Oh, man.
Period. See what I'm saying? Bro, when I tell you it hurt my heart.
You hurt my
It,
heart.
it, it, it hurt my heart, bro. It hurt my pockets too, but it hurt my heart more than anything because that is what I wanted. But again, I don't regret it. I got, three beautiful children out of the deal. I've got, a lifelong set of memories, but damn, I wish I would have had that hat hanging up on the wall.
Woo-wee. Damn it.
That's it.
Look, this has been a great,
He
great.
like, look, I gotta go to sleep after this one.
Nah, it ain't even sleep. This is the longest that we've been on a live. 3 hours and 18 minutes right now.
Ooh,
So look, this has been a great conversation.
Yes, it has.
I'm sure that we can go on and on for at least another hour and a half, 2 hours, just talking about time in. So, but we gotta go. Definitely come back. Both of y'all definitely,
Yes,
definitely,
please.
definitely come back. Um, I'm gonna give y'all a minute or two to give y'all closing words and shout outs to anybody out there, family, friends, people you serve with. So go for it.
I say who? After you, Mr. Don.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony. Hey, go give hey, I'm gonna give a shout out uh, to all those who put this together. Soul Touch, Soul Touch at the Poet. You the
Yeah.
man, baby. Keep it up, keep it up. Love the conversation, love the questions, love the thought provoking conversation. And Son, come on, man. I never thought you had it in you, boy. I thought you know I knew you thought it in, but I can think back to the good old days, and I can think back to those phone calls when my nephew used to call me, and him and Dad would be having they roundabouts, and he'll call me up and ask me a few questions and talk to me, and I was like, I remember those good days. Now, look at him now. I'm proud of you, man. I don't care. I don't care. I'm just proud of you, man. Just keep it up, man. Just keep it up. And my son, what
Appreciate
can
it.
I say? Uh, uh, a lot. You've gone through a lot. You've been there, done that. Uh, and the point I want to make to you about regret, how you deal with the regrets. Regrets are a positive thing. They let you know that hey, you didn't quite make it right that time, but you're still living. You're still breathing. You get to nullify another regret. That you get to go ahead and do it. You get another opportunity and go ahead and fulfill that opportunity. So that's all regrets. Regrets just remind you of when an opportunity presents itself again to go ahead and do it. That's all. That's all. That's what regrets are for. It lets you know that next time, if you still alive and breathing, and there's another opportunity, you got to go for it. So you don't have no regret. That's what regrets are for. So you got to use them in a positive way, not a negative way. You don't want to tear yourself up because what you didn't do ain't nothing you can do about what happened in the past. Absolutely nothing. So you use that memory as a positive thing to say, hey, next opportunity I get, ain't gonna be no regret. I'm gonna get it done. Bottom line. So
True
I
that.
think
Hear
we
that?
can all take that for food for thought. And if there's any regrets we have, because if you take it, it empowers us to be in that position again and power our way through to get it done. And other than that, I'm gonna sign off. Thank y'all for having me.
Brother Anthony, it's
Thanks for
on
coming
you.
on.
I say who? First of all, I've got to give a big thanks to our host. Thank you so very much, Brother Solex, Brother Son. Thank you so much. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate you all. I want to give a shout out to all of my veterans out there. And if I may take just a quick moment to exasperate the idea of getting mental help. Um, I myself personally have lost quite a few battle buddies through suicide. I feel very deeply about it. Go get help. Find somebody to talk to. Take a mushroom and talk to a tree if you need to. Whatever it takes. Like
Yeah,
seriously,
real shit.
like I'm being so serious. Even though I'm using satire, I'm being so serious, man. It's a big thing. And it's so monumental for you to take care of your mental health, no matter what that means, whether it means letting go of stress, letting go of whatever else. A lot of the reason I don't have regret now, to go back to that topic, is because I let go of the Army.
Mm.
Because as much as I love the Army, the other things that I started to love were conflicting with it.
Mm-hmm.
I.e., once I had my son and I had a wife and I had a family and I'm building towards, for me, it was a conflict. And that conflict kept me in turmoil. And that is where I feel like a lot of people in mental health are. If you're in a position and you feel like, you know what, you need to make a change, I hope that this message is enough to reach you and be able to make that change for the better. So again, thank you to our hosts, everyone that's here on this live, all of my brothers here on this live. Thank y'all so very much graciously. I wish y'all peace. Hotep Maria Shaira, which means peace and love through God.
Yeah. I want to say thank you to all of those who have stuck with us for this long ass
Yes.
podcast.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you, man, this is the longest that we've gone. Brother Don, Sir Anthony, much thanks, much gratitude, much appreciation for you two joining us and sticking with us this long. Um,
Yeah, I
uh,
got to get up and go to work.
hey, so do I. Uh,
I got
yeah,
plans to
shout
grow.
out to
Yeah,
you. Shout out to
yeah.
y'all. Shout out to the veterans, and to piggyback off what Anthony was saying. Um, let that stigma go as a man, as a
Or,
black man, as a
or,
soldier,
I say,
Marine, airman, seaman, whatever you are. Put that stigma aside, put that pride aside, go get that help. Go get that help. Um, go get that help. Shout out to all of my family members who have served and are still serving. Um, I'm still trying to get that one more that E8 so I can go out and be
no.
like, I've either exceeded y'all or matched y'all before I walked out the door. I'm gonna give a big shout out to one of my biggest military inspirations, uh, my drill sergeant, who is retired Command Sergeant Major Roger L. Parker Jr.
I say,
Um,
Lord.
One of the greatest inspirations that I've ever known in my military career. Uh, his motto was always "No task too great," and whenever I'm down, I keep that in my mind because no task too great.
Cool.
Um, that's all I got. Sun Solex, it's on you, brother.
All right. Well, I'll be the closer. I just want to say, for anyone who serves in the military, I greatly appreciate your services. Um, Again, if you know me, you've been listening to the show, you know I don't too much care for the politics um, that comes behind the people who actually serve in the military. Meaning the politics as far as sending our soldiers off to foreign lands to fight for these wars that we basically have nothing to do with. Um, so again, I salute the soldiers. My heart goes out to you. Guys, keep your heads up. Keep doing your thing. Like I said, while you in there, take advantage of everything you can as far as education, as far as skills, as far as learning anything and everything that's going to help propel you once you leave the military. Um, I like to thank all of my family members who served, my uncles, my father, my grandfather, um, my cousins. Again, anyone who's been in there, who's walked in those shoes. Again, I salute you. And again, in case you guys haven't noticed, this is my uncle. So when you hear me say,
He said,
Here we go.
when you hear me say Uncle Donald, this is the guy who always encouraged me, always told me to keep my head up,
I say, Lord.
no matter the circumstances. I'm just saying, thank you for everything you've done for me.
Blessings.
Yes.
Blessings, Pop.
Yes.
Love
Blessings.
you,
So,
nephew. You know I love you, boy.
Blessings,
for sure.
man. Blessings.
Look here. It's a King and I Life podcast hosted by myself, Soul Toucher the Poet, and my brother.
Son Soul Lex,
Look, follow us on whatever podcast platform that you choose to subscribe to. Hit us up on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Patreon. Like, subscribe, and share. Sun Solex, what else can they do?
make sure you guys hit us up on that KINGANDEYE 369 at gmail.com. Again, that's King and I 369 at gmail.com. We love to hear from you and love to have you on the platform.
Yes, indeed. And we're looking for our guest tonight to come back. And
Definitely.
I
Thank
say,
you guys.
Lord. I
All
say,
right, man.
we about
Y'all
to
have
hit
a
that
good one.
outro.
Later.
Lord.